Okay, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I know people are going to absolutely crucify me for being like 3 minutes late. I swear. Some people always start like an hour late. I start 3 minutes late, and everyone's like 9:14, whatever. I haven't even seen the chat. I'm assuming that's what it is. But recall stream tonight, guys. Polls will close in about a little bit less than 30 minutes. But I did want to go live a little bit early so that we can go over, kind of break down the race, talk about some things. So I will start the countdown right now, and I'll see you guys in about 3 minutes here. All right. Let's do this, folks. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's go, boys. True. Okay. See you guys. So true. I'm telling you, it's now nationalism. Literally the future of the Republican Party. You cannot stop it. Yo, look, I'm the baby now.
This monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
John, thoughts on VinceDao nationalism?
Oh, I mean, I've been campaigning that for the better part of 3 years now. Before I even knew Vince, it actually appeared to me in a dream, and I just have sort of been trying to like subtly, when they say John Doyle dog whistles, he does, but not the way they think. It's always about VinceDao nationalism. They say I'm like a white nationalist. No, I'm a VinceDao.
Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo as long as we are led by politicians who will not put America first. Then we can be assured that other nations will not treat America with respect, the respect that we deserve. The American people will come first once again.
Millions of Americans sincerely love Donald Trump. They love Donald Trump because no one else loved them. The country they built, the country their ancestors fought for over hundreds of years, has left them to die in their unfashionable little town, mocked and despised by the sneering half-wits with finance degrees but no actual skills who seem to run everything all of a sudden.
Okay, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I know we usually don't do streams for these special elections and stuff like this, but number one, I feel like the recall is a kind of a significant special election, definitely much more than these congressional ones or whatever else you had. Let me get the mic closer a little bit, actually. Okay. But also number two, as you guys well know, I am in Florida now. I've actually not officially classified my residency here in Florida yet, which is actually enabled me to vote in the California recall, kind of like a last little middle finger before I left, right? Which is great. It's one of the perks of being a college student. You can actually declare your residency like in either state you want. And so, I was like, no, still a California resident technically. So we did that. It's called, we do a little bit of trolling. It's true. But anyways, tonight, guys, as you guys know, polls will close at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we're about like 20 minutes or so away from the first results of the California recall. I will give you like my prediction, kind of break down how this is going to go. We'll talk about some stuff. And then when polls close in about 20 minutes, I don't know, we'll see where we're at. So early things to consider for this race. All right, I'll just start with my prediction, I guess. Okay, I'll just start there. So stop spamming 714 in chat. You know how distracting that is. By the way, for the 714 people, 714. Okay, reminder, 914 occurred today. Okay, it was on David Carlson's stream. Apparently it was Lalo that caused it. I will give credit to that. I originally thought it was Rep that was causing the audio echo. It was actually Lalo. And then I was told, I did not witness this, but I was told also today that John Doyle had audio problems on his Instagram live. So I don't know. I guess consider that my revenge. Okay, I'm not saying I was the one messing with the audio. I'm not saying I was the little gremlin, messing with the wires or whatever. But that in a way I think serves to exist as revenge for me. But anyways, as I was saying before, so I will say, and this is just my honest prediction, I'm not gonna lie to you about election results. I am not that confident in this, right? I'm now leaning pretty heavily towards the opinion. I'd say like 75% or more that Gavin Newsom remains governor. This obviously is a lot less optimistic of a take, and I said this in a community tab on Monday. This is much less optimistic than I was like a month ago, okay? Because when you look at it a month ago, you had polls that were basically showing it to be dead even. We know that polls in general, and a lot of these polls, some of these were more left-leaning polls, tend to oversample Democrats a lot. And you had polls showing that it was basically an even race, right? But I did warn. I said at the time, yes, the race basically is dead even as we currently see it. But I warned of two things, and these were pretty stern warnings. I said, number one, keep in mind for the fact that essentially Gavin Newsom and the Dems have not played their hand yet. And what I meant by that was that they had, I warned about this. I said, Newsom is very popular in the party nationally, stuff like this. In the last month, because at the time I hadn't really seen it push that hard, in the last month, there's going to be an extremely heavy push in terms of fundraising, campaigning, all this stuff to really just get the turnout of Gavin Newsom's base, right? And that was basically the problem. And then number two, I also pointed out the fact, and this is true. I know some people are confused about this. It's not always clear if you're out of state. I can confirm this, and this is what's happening. And this is, you can research it. This is true. So by universal mail-in voting, which is often a talking point of the right, that's literally exactly what's happening in California. The state of California, whether you requested it or not, has mailed a mail-in ballot to every single registered voter in the state of California, right? I got one. Never requested a mail-in ballot. I got one because that's how the election's going this time. Parents got one, like everyone got one, right? And that's what I believe all 22 million voters. Now, number one, obviously we know, right? But also number two, I think organically speaking, this is something else to consider, other than that thing. Also consider the fact that just organically speaking, this helps Democrats a lot in turnout, because that's what the recall election ultimately is going to come down to. It's turnout. We know that if all the voters in the state turn out, California is a heavily blue state, right? Newsom, actually, I should correct myself. All voters turn out and vote along party lines, like, which is something we'll talk about in a second. Everyone turns out, votes along party lines, then Newsom obviously stays the governor by 20 points or so. But that's been the problem, is that there has not been a lot of energy basically on the side of Democrats. A lot of people don't, especially like lower educated people who this election is happening, this and that, right? But now you're sending ballots to the homes of every single registered voter. What do you think is going to happen? Even organically speaking, like naturally speaking, you're just going to get a higher turnout in general. And that is something that obviously helps Democrats. And that's what I will say. That is the main thing to watch in the recall election, right? It's all going to come down to turnout. And we'll talk about in a second, but it's all going to come down to turnout. High turnout, obviously, it should be common sense in a blue state, equates Democratic victory. That has been that. I think that's why about a month ago you saw the polls basically dead even, because there just was not a lot of energy on the side of the Democrats. And obviously the people who are very angry at Newsom, mainly Republicans. There are definitely independents. There are definitely moderate Democrats, but the main core of people who are mad at Newsom are the Republicans. Those people are going to be just fine in terms of turnout. The big problem was Democratic turnout, and that's what they were worried about. That's what they were getting screwed by. But when you are mailing a ballot to every single voter, right? So people who weren't that enthusiastic, didn't know the recall was happening, didn't think the recall would ever, but now they have a ballot in their hand. What are they going to do? They're going to check the box, most likely along party lines, right, for the Democrats. And also you consider the fact that, people have been cringing, I think justifiably. All right, I got a $5 super chat from Matt Gagnon, who says, why is Vic, I think that means Vince, why is he trying to dress Asian when he already is Asian? I don't know what the super chat means. I mean, what are you talking about? What did Matt Gagnon mean by this? I have no idea. So anyways, let us actually open up this election map. It's not going to show anything for about 20 minutes or so, but let me actually close out my other tabs too, so that way we get a more smooth stream. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, we should be good now. All right. Now here's the thing. Turnout. The reason why I say now, right? Like a month ago, I was actually. Let me see if I can find this real quick. This is something interesting I wanted to show you guys. Obviously, polls are not not always very accurate. Most of the time, they're not accurate. But margins aside, a lot of times what polls can genuinely reflect is energy shifts, right? And so even if the actual like percentage of approve, disapprove, yes, no, whatever it is, are rather skewed, usually if they're taking the same poll twice, 3 times, if there's a genuine energy shift, often, not always, but oftentimes in the electorate, usually you'll kind of see that energy shift in the polls. Well, here's something that's very interesting. Let me see if 538 still has it, because here you go. Okay, this is the reason why, like, fundamentally, I was like, a month ago, I was like, this might really happen. This has a great shot at happening. You look at it now, I'm just like, it's not that enthusiastic. I mean, we'll obviously see, because I think what you saw last month shouldn't count for nothing. But I still think that, this is something that has to be taken into account. Ethan Ellis says, thanks for being late because I was listening to a Willie Nelson song, based, epic, and I didn't want to stream until the song was over. It's kind of epic. That's actually pretty based. But again, I think this was when we did that stream about a month ago talking about this and saying, look, this has a genuine chance of succeeding. This is where we were in the polls, basically dead even. And, if you're going to assume that, as usually the case, that polls, and especially these polls, are oversampling Democrats, at least by a little bit, right? This is a good poll. But this was where the race was about a month ago. Now you see this is where the race is now. And obviously, that might not be the most accurate. You could have a little bit of like propaganda turnout on either side, whatever it is. But still, I think there's something to be said about this. And I think there's something to be said about the fact that, again, over the past month, whereas they hadn't really used their resources very much before, all the money that Newsom, the DNC, all the national Democrats, the Elizabeth Warren ads, Joe Biden coming to LA to campaign for Newsom, right? All that the just establishment Democratic Party, which, the state of California really likes. That's also something to keep in mind. We are a heavily liberal state, but in a way, we're kind of like a neoliberal state. Like this, California actually tends to reject the like grassroots progressive candidates. Like the electorate here is not a big fan of that. What we tend to vote for are just the establishment Democratic politicians, right? We elected Jerry Brown. That's a guy who's, was even the governor back in the day. Like he's an old guy. Gavin Newsom, the lieutenant governor of California before then, and someone who was very, very establishment and all in bed with Pelosi, all these people, right? That's who the state of California tends to vote for and like and prefer, right? They don't, if someone like AOC, some like kind of like grassroots progressive person tries to run in California, it's not going to work. They're just going to vote for basically the neolib establishment every single time. Now, with that considered, this heavily favors what Newsom had essentially saved up, right? Because when you have the entire DNC and stuff on your side, all they had to essentially do was, in the last month before the recall, they put together this huge ad campaign. All the kind of just normal Democratic people that the people of California love. Again, this shill endlessly for the Democratic establishment. So all it took was the Democratic establishment to come out here and say, oh, but threat to our democracy, Trump-led recall, and then look what happens to the polls. It's very interesting, guys, very interesting. I think there's also something to be said, though. However, about, and this is not a knock on Larry Elder. I still think it's overall net positive that he joined the race. At the very least, he's kind of consolidating, the Republican vote, whatever it is. Like I'm not bashing him for joining this race, but I think it is also something to consider, to keep in mind. I have noticed this too. Like I genuinely even like know people who have done this, and I think this is something that you see showing up a lot. A lot of sort of center-left people, sort of like center-left independent people, even like registered Democrats who are just not really happy from like a more populist, I guess, like a generic, I'm not like a right-wing, but like a generically populist sentiment of not liking where the state is going. Many of these people were actually kind of on the fence. They were actually considering voting yes to recall Newsom and voting for someone moderate like Faulkner or whoever else, or maybe even another Democrat. But Larry Elder getting into the race, Larry Elder, obviously someone who is like a staunch, I wouldn't, ideologically, I wouldn't even say he's the most conservative person in the race, right? Like people like someone like Kevin Kiley, for instance, actually more conservative than Elder. The problem, of course, with Elder, and the reason why Elder has basically become this boogeyman is because obviously, number one, he's leading the race, but also he's just someone who kind of just comes from like heavily pro-Trump, Fox News, just National Review, like just type of conservative circles, right? And that's who he is. Like he's a radio host, like a conservative legend, essentially. Right? Everyone knows him. Everyone ties him to just like hard right, sort of. I wouldn't even say hard right, but just like just generic what we consider to be conservatism, right? Now, what they've effectively done to an extent is basically made this boogeyman out of Larry Elder. Here's Larry Elder, pro-Trump guy, this and that, notable conservative personality. And I noticed what that's essentially done is a lot of people who are kind of on the fence, like they're more center left, but they're very scared of like hard conservatives. They're very scared of a Trump conservative basically getting into office. And Elder is not even running, by the way. He really is a Trump conservative. You look at a lot of things he's been saying, he sounds more like a member almost of like the Libertarian Party or something. I don't know. Than he does like a Trump conservative in this race when you actually read into what he's saying. But the association is there because that's who he's been for all these years, right? He's just kind of been in the generic like MAGA Inc. kind of circle, right? And that's just where he's been. And just that association alone has caused a lot of people who would have considered maybe voting for a moderate Republican, moderate Democrat. Now, because everyone kind of knows, Elder is most likely going to win the recall ballot, there's probably a lot of people who are kind of, because of that, saying, you know what, I'm just going to vote yes to keep Newsom. That's something to keep in mind, right? Something to keep in mind. I don't know how prevalent of a force that's going to be. We got a super chat. Let me check that out real quick. Matt Gagnon says, I look more like, even more like JB Pritzker than Rap does. I've seen your face actually, right? I've seen your face on Twitter, but I don't know. We got to put you guys side by side with JB Pritzker. Sorry. Isn't Larry Elder known as a libertarian? No, he is a libertarian. This is something to consider. He is a libertarian. But the thing is I think it's more who he associates with, right? Yes, Elder is a libertarian, but he doesn't really associate with like the Libertarian Party, Gary Johnson, like he associates with us, right? He's kind of known on Fox News, right? His main show is like registered Republicans. He's a Republican, right? So it's all about association. See, that's what I'm saying. It's all about association, right? It's not the fact that Elder is like the craziest, like Trumpian right-wing populist, and definitely not that he's running a campaign like that. Rather, he's associated with us by his associations and sort of the persona he's built over the years, right? So that's something to keep in mind. Now, the issue is, like I said, with turnout so far has been looking pretty good for Democrats. That's the issue. You look at stuff like early ballot data, things like this. Polls, obviously not the most reliable, but all the mumbo jumbo into one. So according to the eggheads, I don't know. According to the eggheads, I'm not the egghead, but according to the eggheads, at about 60% voter turnout, Newsom wins, right? Just basically by the math in California, unless you see a huge break from party lines, which doesn't seem to be the case. I don't think it's going to happen. Maybe it would have been possible, but like I said, Larry Elder is his presence in the race has made it sort of more of a party lines thing. And like I said, I'm not blaming Elder for this. It's just like the reality of his candidacy. This is just something that is just been a result of it, right? So Elder has kind of solidified the fact that I think for the most part, most people are going to vote along party lines. There are probably about like 10, maybe even up to 20% of Democrats who may break ranks. But still, if you get a high enough turnout simply from voters, enough of them will be party line Democrats to the point where Democrats win. So the way that Republicans win, considering especially that most people are going to vote along party lines, is low turnout election. All the Republicans turn out, Democrats don't turn out, Republicans win by proxy. The issue is, largely because of universal mail-in voting, largely because of this ad campaign by the DNC, you are seeing pretty high turnout. So like I said, at about 60% turnout, Newsom is more or less guaranteed to win the election. Already before election day, we had 40% turnout in terms of ballot returns and stuff like that, right? Which is inching pretty close. Now, with universal mail-in voting, I don't know if election day turnout is going to be as high as it traditionally is for Republicans or just people in general, because, usually you have to somewhat request the mail-in ballot, not even have to request. So, but still, right, assuming you get just 20% turnout on election day, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. So that's why I say, overall, I don't know how optimistic I am about this. We'll see when polls close. Now, what else I will say is that just to understand how the voting system works in California and just what to expect. Yeah, it's going to take forever to count here. That is the thing. It is this is something as a former Californian, I guess legally speaking, still a Californian, but that will change soon. Okay, that'll change soon. But for now, as someone who's actually legally a resident of California still, but not living in California at the moment, it genuinely takes almost a month to count votes. Okay. Now, usually it's like anything you thought you saw in 2020 when it came to swing states. Oh, look how long it's taking to count and this and that, right? This and that. I can tell you right now, California will make all of that look like children's work if the election is remotely close at all. Here in California, I believe the race between Mike Garcia and who was he running against? Chrissy something. Was it Chrissy Smith was her name? I believe that was her name. That was a race that wasn't called almost until December. I think they called that race on like November 25th or something. Remember, the election was November 3rd. Like, this is how long it takes to count ballots in California. It is terribly inefficient. And it is probably not terribly secure either. It's just not a good system. But anyways, Shane says, way I see it, we've been playing our hands way too early, as it opens us up to so many lanes of attack. We have to have a much better poker face. I mean, this is, well, to be fair, Elder did get into the last minute, but overall, yeah, I would say what the Democrats did was rather brilliant with this race. They waited basically until the very last moment, a month before the election. All of a sudden, bam, ad after ad after ad, right? Very hard pressed to basically make sure Newsom stayed in power, right? Very smart the way they did that. You look at maybe that's something we should take into consideration. They did strategize this very well. Newsom was in genuine trouble, and then they did something which admittedly was rather smart. But anyways, back to the whole issue of the fact that, again, California can't count votes efficiently. You can turn in a ballot so long as it's postmarked, right? On election day, they have to wait up to a week to make sure mail-in ballots are still coming in and still be keeping track of mail-in ballots. So it's just like, but the reason I bring that up, not just the fact that, you're not going to get full results tonight, don't even count on coming close to that, is also the fact that I would say the only scenario in which we're able to basically call the race tonight and know what what the result is tonight is if Newsom wins by landslide, right? But if that's the case, we'll kind of be able to see by the end of the night that it's like, okay, this is not happening, right? You can just basically call the race, it's over, right? I would say that if it is the case, like Newsom does end up becoming recalled or simply a close race, you're definitely not going to have and by the way, I don't think there's a scenario by which Newsom is recalled by like a huge margin. If he is recalled, it's going to be something that's very, very narrow, assuming that even happens. And that just like I said, you're just not going to be able to tell you probably won't be able to tell for a week at best. Maybe I would probably say probably more like 2 weeks. It's California. Okay. It's always like this, by the way. But now that they're mailing a ballot to every single voter, it's just probably going to be worse. Even if turnout is lower than it is in a normal election, I think the fact that mail-in voting is even more prevalent now than it was going to be in 2020. I think that's the case. I think that's what you're going to see. So that's basically what to expect. Also take things like this into account. LA County, which is obviously, I believe it's actually the single biggest county in California. I'm not pretty sure it's the single biggest county. Obviously, we know what the politics of it are. It's not as blue as something like San Francisco, but still pretty heavily Democrat, right? I think it's probably about like 70%, somewhere around there. I don't know the exact number, but we know the story with LA County. LA County is one of the counties, big surprise, right? That takes the longest to count. LA County tends to report its results, let's just say, a lot later than a lot of the other counties. And so that's also something to keep in mind. If it is the case, which, I have a bad feeling we might actually have definitive results, but if it is the case that it's close, it is the case that it looks like, the recall is actually winning. Keep in mind, I don't know, LA County may come in at the last moment and ruin that. Overall, they tend to count votes much, much slower in LA, which is where I'm from. I'm sorry. Okay. But we'll see. So anyways, it is literally 10:59 right now, so we should be having some preliminary results in about 1 minute. You know what I should have done? I should have made a really cool animation that like shows like new results or whatever, the way they do it on election nights. But whatever, it's rather informal. It's a little bit it's a little bit of a schizophrenic, chaotic stream. I think that's a good thing. We love to see it. We love to hear it like that. Anyways, so we are waiting. 8 p.m. Pacific time is when the polls close. So let's see what we have. I don't know if this will update. Okay, so I think it does update live. So let's see. We await imminent results imminent. I swear this feels like the longest minute ever, but maybe that's just me. So Zion says, Larry. Oh, here we go. Wait, it is now 8 o'clock. We don't have anything yet. Let's see what we got. It's probably take like a minute or two to at least get something. We may even get nothing for a while. I would think so. Also, how it works in California is, obviously have those mail-in voting and stuff. Election officials do count before the polls close. So the counting has already started, but they're not allowed to announce until polls close for, obvious reasons. So let's see. Maybe I'll refresh the page, but I don't know if we have results yet, folks. This is 5:38. Maybe I should go to New York Times. New York Times tends to be the fastest, unfortunately. So sad. We have to give ad revenue to the New York Times, but I guess we'll go there. They're usually the best about it, but they don't have it either. Okay. So we await. All right. Anyways, while we continue to await results, let's go through the chat. Anyways, Zion says Larry Elder is proof that hard right politics can work in America. I don't know if I'd even consider Larry Elder to be hard right in his organic state. I don't know if that's true, but especially the campaign he ran, frankly, was not terribly radical, which I understand the strategy there, but I think still it was quite easy just to tie him to, the hard right anyway. But they had it counted days ago. Largely true. All right. We'll continue to wait. We will continue to await, but just consider this fact. It's like you see where your own state is going. You see the other state of California, And to be frank, I used to hear Democrats complain about this all the time back when I lived there. Isn't that so great to say? Back when I lived there. But like I said, there is some California tendency, and this is very interesting to consider. I don't know when someone, let's see, no results still. So I'll go on this tangent a little bit. I think this is a result partially maybe of urbanization. California is almost an entirely urban state, right? It's all urban and suburban. Like it's just urban, suburban sprawl all over the place. Like you live in California, most likely you live in cities, and it's very crowded. It's very concentrated. And I think there's something to be said that it's often considered that cities and large city areas, urban areas, tend to breed liberal politics for whatever reason it is, right? There's a lot of different reasons. Some people try to give different explanations, but we know that is the case. That's just how it goes, right? What's interesting is that I think something else to consider is that when you have a state, something like California, I feel like there's just this weird also tendency. Perhaps it's even a little bit contradictory because the cities tend to be the most progressive places, right? And I think maybe that's partially why they tend to be drawn to liberal politics, not just because they live much closer to each other, so there's much less of a sense of like, I don't know, self-governance, which I think to an extent, even like where I stand, to an extent, that's still kind of somewhat of a conservative principle. But even beyond that, typically, right, cities tend to be where most like cultural progress, quote unquote, occurs, right? And so I suppose that's why it tends to be more progressive. Whereas if you live in a farm, you live in a rural area where things have kind of always been this way, change happens at a much slower rate. They tend to be drawn more to conservatism. But at the same time, I don't know exactly what it is. Actually, perhaps it is just when you look at where the country is today and you look kind of the state of things currently, I notice that is the case that, Californians, we can go over the reasons why, but Californians, in perhaps as a result of suburban sprawl, whatever it is, tend to actually go more for this. Actually, okay, now I'm onto it. All right. Californians, because California is a very suburban state, tend to go for the status quo. That's frankly what it is. And I think that's what most suburbanites, I notice how this is actually tends to go, like, people in rural areas tend to be very hardline for just tradition, right? People in the inner city tend to be progressive in a sense. The suburbs typically tend to just stand for whatever the status quo is. They just don't want life to change, which I think kind of makes sense. You can kind of visualize that in a suburbanite. Here we go. All right, less than 1% reported. Let's go. Let's stop the count. Stop the count. It's over. No, just kidding. Less than 1% reported. We've got some results. This means nothing. It's less than 1%, obviously, but so the recall is doing pretty well. Obviously, less than 1%. It means nothing. But I'm kind of curious where these votes came from. So let's see if we can take a look. So these results are coming out of Napa County. Okay, that's interesting. Napa County tends to be a little bit kind of, I believe it's rather in the middle, actually. Let me see. Napa County 2020 results. Let me confirm that for you. I did not have time to research every single county before this, but all right, now my phone's not working. But this is interesting. Let's see. This is less than 1% anyway, but let me see how much of Napa. Okay, 62% of Napa County is reporting. Now let's do this. Let's play an experiment. If my phone can stop loading Kahoot for a second, I don't know why it's even doing that. So let me confirm this for you. So in 2020, Napa County. What the hell is this? I literally just want to see the presidential race. What is this? Can you please not do that? All right, here we go. Nope, we still can't. This is just annoying. I'm literally just trying to Google this. All right, let's do it this way. Hold on. 2020 presidential results. All right. Let us see. All right, never mind. That's just pissing me. That's just pissing me off. It's just pissing me off. All right. Very interesting. It is a 70-30 county for Democrats. All right. Actually, wait. Oh, never mind. I read it wrong. Sorry. That's my bad. I actually read that wrong. I for some reason mistook the no for the yes. Okay, that's why. See that confirmed what I was thinking. Okay. So LA County, we got 66%. I'm surprised LA County managed to count. Wait, is this? Sorry, that's not LA County. My bad. Ventura County, 66. Okay, so that's actually not looking too good then, because Ventura is a little bit mixed, right? You have stuff like Simi Valley, very, very Republican. You have kind of the Palmdale, Lancaster area. I believe that is in Ventura as well, is it? I think that's in Ventura, but it's fairly mixed. But regardless, you're seeing already pretty good turnout for Democrats here. So let's take a look. I don't, that okay, what threw me off, that's why I like was totally dyslexic and read it wrong. Why is yes in blue and no in red? You know how conditioned I am to assume that anything red in an electoral map is Republican? I don't like that. That is confusing. That genuinely confused the crap out of me. I was like, what the heck's going on there? Okay, sorry. My bad. But already, you take a look, it's not looking good. Napa in 2020 was about 69% for Biden. There's a lot of Napa County is full of smug wine drinkers. So when you think about it, it could theoretically be home to kind of based conservative aristocracy, but it's not. They all went to other places. So you're seeing so far Ventura 64-35. You're seeing so far at the very least turnout seems to be mirroring more or less what you saw in 2020, which obviously means like a 20+ point whatever victory it is for the Democrats, right? All right, so I believe this is San Diego County, right? San Diego, if you want a successful recall, here's a county that you absolutely need to at least get All right, sorry about that. Hold on. My bad. I think my thing got unplugged here, so that's probably what happened. All right, give me a second. I'll be right back. Okay, my bad. I bumped. I think this thing came unplugged. That's why. Okay, shut up. 914 is cursed for everyone. I'm sorry. I got too cocky. I was like, well, but John Doyle's audio wasn't working. David was echoing, and then look what happens to me. See, that's why you shouldn't count your eggs before you hatch. All right. Anyways, we're back. Let me share the screen again. So as I was saying, San Diego County is a place you have to win. 51% at least, if not more than that. If you want to have a successful recall, because San Diego County tends to be light blue, maybe even purple, right? It's a place where Republicans do sometimes win. Look at, again, Kevin Faulconer was the mayor of San Diego, right? This is kind of a more, for the standards of California, a more conservative county. This is a county that is kind of it's full of a lot of I don't know how else you say it, but it's true, rich conservative white people. That's a lot of what makes up San Diego. And I would say I think it's kind of a good bellwether for the state in a way, in the sense that if you have a good result in San Diego, you might have a shot, right? Because it's kind of a bellwether county, I guess you could say, for California. And I wouldn't use the term bellwether, but if you can kind of see what I'm trying to say there, right? Because now, if Republicans do very well in San Diego, you might see some of that carry over to the rest of the state. If we're getting blown out in San Diego already, by 20 points, not a good look, not a good result. Now, what ballots are still left? Frankly, no idea, because it's not like other states where oh, now they're counting mail-in, now they're counting election day. It's California, dude. It's all over the place. Okay, nobody knows. Nobody has any idea. And I wish I could tell you we didn't have any. Nobody has any idea. But you look 65% out of San Diego. Now, most of the votes that are being cast, but actually, to be fair, it would stand to reason. Now, it's California. Nobody freaking knows. It would stand to reason that you might see that narrowed a little bit, because probably most of the ballots they're counting so far are drop boxes and mail-in voting. But even so, even with that being the case, I think this election in particular, probably a lot more mail-in voting also from Republican voters than usual. Again, because of the universal mail-in voting thing, they just mailed a ballot to every voter. You didn't have Trump out here pushing for you to vote in person, right? It was kind of, I would also say, and this is just true, there's probably more mail-in voting from Republicans. And so just all things considered, preliminarily speaking, San Diego County, if you Democrats are already winning this by 20 points and you don't see it reverse drastically because suddenly all the election day votes pour in, it's just like a shock. It's just not looking good. Just not looking good. So you look up north. All right, we got some results out of, I mean, this is like Northern California, obviously not a lot of votes. These are just tiny counties. But yeah, vote yes. Out of 71%. Now these are not going to be significant. This is kind of what we expect up here. But you look at the populations of these counties right now, 71% reporting about like 6,000 votes, right? It's not going to make a big difference. Meanwhile, you look at a county like LA, we're talking in the hundreds of thousands. But, this is just what you'd expect. Nothing really revealing here, I would say. San Jose County, I mean, this is just basically what you would expect. This is like, if you look at the Bay Area, right? This is just what you'd expect. Santa Clara County, sorry. 78% for no. I still hate the fact that the no is in red and the yes is in blue. It's just so confusing. It doesn't make it easy to read this. But Merced's a little bit more agricultural, right? So, a little bit closer, but you got 52-47. Yeah, that's not bad. San Benito, like over here, you're kind of looking at Silicon Valley right now with Santa Clara, a little bit sort of with San Benito. Now Fresno County, this is, I would say something like Fresno County is probably also another bellwether for this election in terms of not necessarily that if Republicans win it, they'll win the state, but if Republicans lose it, I don't see them winning the rest of the state. Like these are San Diego, Fresno, stuff like this, maybe even Merced to an extent, right? These are places that you basically need to win if you want to win the recall. You need to be winning here, and probably by a few points, not just like 51%. Now, if we're losing by a few points in these places, not looking good, right? Not a great look for what we have going. We got stuff up here. I mean, this is just what you'd expect near Sacramento, yeah. Sonoma, yeah, which basically what you'd expect. Napa up here. I mean, that's the thing though, is like, if we're just getting, that's what you would expect from California. If you're just getting like standard election results, again, remember that California is a state that goes to Democrats by like 10 or more, on average. I think Newsom actually won by like 20 or something. It was, or actually close to 30. It's a huge margin, right? In 2018, I think Trump lost by like almost 30 points here, right? And so just the fact that we're currently saying, that's basically what you'd expect, that's not good. You need to be looking at these results and be thinking, damn, like what the heck is going on here? If you're just getting, we'd expect Santa Clara County to look like this, that would suggest that the state's just going to go how it normally goes, which is, not great. Lassen County, again, up here, you're getting into like it's like Eureka region almost in a sense. Nobody lives here, 5,000, which basically what you'd expect, right? What you'd expect. Again, you can't just be getting what you'd expect. You have to be getting like way outside of what you would normally expect out of a normal election. Let's go down to somewhere like LA. Oh, Jesus. All right, LA County. I mean, again, what you'd expect from LA County, I guess, to an extent. But this also, I was interested. I saw a poll about last month, and really shows you how far this race has come from just a month ago. Last month, it was showing that like Newsom only had maybe like a 10% or something lead here in LA County. I say here like I still live there. There in LA County, but now look at what you see. A blowout. Again, probably what you'd expect, but this is looking almost the same, and we'll see what votes come in after. But this is looking pretty similar to a normal election year, which again doesn't look good, and we'll see if election day votes can change that. But you look at Ventura again. I think Ventura is a place where you have to be doing pretty well. You have to be putting it pretty close if you want any chance of this thing succeeding. If it's looking like this, not great. Santa Barbara, pretty blue, what you'd expect. But again, that's the problem. You're getting what you'd expect. Orange County. All right, this is very bad. This is very, very bad. Because Orange County, and you may know this, Orange County has turned purple as of late. But it is traditionally a conservative stronghold in the state. All right. Again, these early ballots are probably like the early mail-in ballots, so we'll see if these leads close. Possibility, but it is not a good look for Orange County for Democrats to be winning by, like, as you can see, almost 20 points. I think that'll narrow a lot. I'm sure the final results will probably be a lot closer. But the fact that Dems are starting with such an early lead in the way that they are, and you're already at like 60%, really not a good look for the recall. I mean, really not a good look. Orange County, that's a county, if you want to win a recall, again, the traditionally conservative part of California, this is where, what's his name? Dana Rohrabacher, yeah. You may have heard that name before. Strong congressman, Republican, got voted out in 2018. But that's where we're talking about. This is the Republican part of California. This is the part where all the money for the CAGOP comes. Orange County is, frankly, used to be a pretty nice place, at least. If we're not kicking ass in Orange County, I don't see much chance. We'll see. And it might be the case with the last 40%. That this narrows based on election day votes, and we actually end up maybe winning or coming close, even if it's like we win by like 2% in Orange County, which that's probably where it's a purple county at this point. So even if we win slightly, like, that's not enough. Again, that's not enough. If you want to win the state and you want to say Orange County as kind of use it in a way as a bellwether, you have to be blowing out in Orange County by like traditional like 1990s margins. And based on how it looks right now, that it seems almost like impossible to even occur at all. So, unfortunately, it's not looking good. Not looking good. And if Orange County's looking like that, that's a black bill. Kern County is going to be another interesting thing to watch. This is where Kevin McCarthy is from. You got Bakersfield and stuff like that. I believe McCarthy's district is basically all of Kern County. So again, this is going to be an interesting place to watch. If it's relatively close, not good. If Democrats are winning, it's basically over. But unless we're like really kicking butt here, not a good sign for the rest of the state, right? You kind of use sort of indicators. Mariposa, you're talking kind of inland area. Doing pretty well here. I believe that's fairly standard. Madera again. Now, the thing about California, here's the unfortunate reality. In other states, sometimes you can use rural turnout to like beat the cities, right? Like somewhere like Georgia, it's a contest between Atlanta and the rest of the state, right? And if you get high enough rural turnout, minimize suburban losses a little bit, you can still beat Atlanta. And there's a lot of places like that. California is so big, or should I say the cities are so big, and there's like basically almost three of them, right? You have San Francisco, which if you count the whole San Francisco area and Silicon Valley is massive. Same thing with LA County, right? Because LA City is actually not that big for a city, but you take the whole county, I think it's like 10 million people. I'm correct, actually. It's about 10 million people, which, if I'm not mistaken, is actually a bigger population than the entire state of Arizona. I believe that. Don't count me on that, but I remember doing that research one time. I believe that is true, right? That's what you're dealing with here. So even if we have like decent turnout, like the rural areas, like up north, even in like the central California inland, it's not enough. Like, we're gonna need good you just can't have you cannot have like rural areas beat the urban areas in California. It is mathematically impossible. They're not even going to come close. What you need instead is places like San Diego, Orange County, Fresno County. Like, these places need to go like basically pretty heavy red in terms of Republican, not red in terms of the no vote. And then you need places like LA County, San Francisco area to basically be like swing almost to an extent, almost like within the like 5 points either way, which, you look at it right now, just not happening, right? It's just not happening. So it's not great. But we'll look at chat for a little bit as we watch this fairly average results pour in, but let's see. Hey Vince, how's your rice farm going? I don't have a rice farm. That's a lie. It's not true. You love how they make apologies for mail-in voting. It's like, wow, the effects of mail-in voting. It hasn't even been 30 minutes since polls closed, and the estimates that more than 40% of the count is already in. Yeah, but also because of mail-in voting, you're going to be counting the votes for like another 2 weeks. Like I see how they basically try to shill for mail-in voting and say it's so efficient, so effective. So okay, so here's a little bit of a white pill. We got confirmation on this. The first batch of votes to be reported are the mail-in ballots returned before Election Day. So okay, then that's obviously going to favor Democrats. I will say it's not going to favor Democrats as much as it did in 2020. Again, because of the fact that when you have universal mail-in voting, and I'm just telling you right now, a lot of Republicans actually did vote by mail in this election, or Dropbox or whatever. The Election Day turnout and the Election Day surge is not going to be nearly what you saw in 2020. It's going to be a lot. Still, mail-in voting is going to favor Democrats, in-person voting going to favor Republicans. But I will tell you also, it's not going to be as tilted in one direction or the other as it was on Election Day. But if we're looking at pre-Election Day votes, it's a little bit better. At the same time, I don't really think it's going to be the saving grace, because I don't think the party lines in terms of mail-in voting is going to be as big as you saw in swing states on Election Day. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So you're reading some of these updates from these fake journalists. I kind of want to see. I'm curious what they're talking about here. Early result: no at 72% Napa County, heavily Democrat Wine County, north of the Bay Area. Newsom won 65% of the vote. So this is a strong showing for him in the early going. True. Now we're gonna have to see what Election Day turnout looks like if we're dealing with early mail-in ballots. I will say here's also something to consider, though. Again, considering it's just a huge mail-in voting election, also consider the fact that I think a lot of these early ballots may be more Republican, in the sense that the people who are going to mail in their ballot the earliest are the most enthusiastic. I think you're also going to see a lot of like Democrat last minute voters, in the last week or so, where they're like, okay, you know what, this is kind of, let me just go vote in this recall. Whereas kind of the people who got their ballot like a month ago and checked it off immediately, more likely than not, more Republican, right? I think Democrats probably be more skeptical to vote in the election and then end up doing it later on. Something else to consider, right? Something else to consider. So I like that. That's all to say, yes, I think early mail-in voting is going to favor Democrats overall, but keep in mind that the skew, the extent to which that is, I think is a lot less. I think it's going to be a lot less than you saw in 2020, where it's like so overwhelmingly. By the way, I think Election Day is going to be all Republicans, still the case here, but probably less turnout. It's not going to be like this huge surge in terms of numbers, but still in terms of mail-in voting, I don't think it's going to be as partisan. Still partisan, but not as partisan as you saw in 2020. Which is interesting. All right, we got one new update. I heard. Okay, well, this is not bad. If I heard some grumbling in Irvine this afternoon. Irvine's in Orange County, so if we have a lot of. Well, to be fair, I don't. Here's the deal. The problem is you have UC Irvine, and they basically ballot harvest there. Like in a way, they put all these polling places on campus. But if we have Orange County, where there's long lines in Orange County, I can tell you those lines are probably mostly all Republicans. I mean, there might be some last-minute Democrats like, oh, shoot, I forgot to vote. But like I said, it's a possibility too. But overall, that's probably going to be overwhelmingly Republican. So if we're dealing with long lines in Orange County, what does that suggest? It's just higher turnout. A lot of people showing up to vote, which may be good. So I would say let's keep an eye on Orange County. Let's keep an eye on San Diego County. Places like that, I think, are going to be pretty telling in terms of how this election's going. Anyways, we've got Riverside County. This is Riverside County's Republican. Okay. It's actually where my grandparents used to live. We love Riverside. So if we're talking mail-in, the early mail-in votes, 9-point lead. That's not bad. I'm sure Election Day votes are going to increase that. But this is also, to an extent, it's rather predictable, I guess, to an extent. So we'll see what we're at. Let's see if we can get a look at the total vote count right now. And yeah, that's where we're at. This is where we're at overall in terms of total vote count, right? And if you look at places like LA County, Santa Clara County, right, it's not hard to see why. It's not hard to see why. So not looking good so far, right? What did I warn about? But we'll see. We'll see how election day voting comes in. But obviously, there's not just election day voting, right? There's also late election day mail-in voting to later mail-in voting, which is also a thing that's going to happen and going to be have to consider, right? All of the later mail-in ballots coming in. Obviously, they count the early ones, and that's probably, overall favor Democrats, like I said, to a lesser extent, I think, than normal. But then you're going to have election day votes, but then it's not going to be one universal surge because you're also going to have late mail-in votes. So it's all to say that it's really a mess and we should just really look at the numbers. But all right, let's see how we're doing. Everyone made fun of me for calling it a psyop. I think if the election happened a month ago, I'd be very curious to how it turns out. But they managed to make this very partisan, which obviously in a very Democrat state, if you just basically say that it's a partisan issue, which it's basically become, bound to fail. Now, if it was purely like center of the road, like just generically populist, which I think it kind of was a month or two ago and isn't so much now because it's become very polarized, then you might have had a lot of people who are just like, this Newsom guy kind of sucks. Let me recall him. But, I think our country, considering what you're normally going to see in terms of just general elections, our country is so polarized that in a state like California, affected by it too, that something like this, an upset, is just not the easiest thing to do once that polarization starts to kick in. A month ago, that polarization wasn't really there. It was kind of a bipartisan populist sort of thing. Like, and when I say populist, I don't mean our form of populist. I just mean like generically, the politicians are cringe, they suck, right? Like there's that sentiment. But now what you're seeing, the last month or so, it's just become a Republican versus Democrat thing, which in a Republican state wouldn't be a bad thing, but in a Democrat state, obviously is a really bad thing for us. And so, what you're just seeing is Democrats just showing up to vote, right? And turnout because of balloting, because of mailing ballots and all that stuff. 22 million people were mailed a ballot. Every single registered voter in California, whether you want it or not, was mailed a ballot. Even naturally speaking, that's just going to help Democrats in turnout, right? Which is smart. It's a smart move on their part. It really makes you consider, if Democrats understand how turnout favors them, why should Republicans not do the exact same, Because they said because of COVID and safety protocols, we're going to be mailing a ballot to everyone. Yeah, we obviously know that's nonsense. We obviously know that that's not the reason why they did it. But I begs the question, like, why don't Republicans really do the same thing? We always talk about these kind of soft core voting laws in Georgia, and we're so reluctant to defend them. But it's like, if they know how to get their turnout to win the election, why shouldn't we do the same thing in red states, I don't know. I'm just saying, if you want to be serious about it. But all right, so this is like the early mail-in ballots. I would assume what you're probably going to see next, some election day ballots to an extent. So let's see what we got. Probably I'd say in like an hour or so from now, you'll probably start to see some election day in-person votes roll in the numbers. But let's take a look at where we are in some of these, what I refer to as like the bellwether counties, right? So San Diego County. I don't think this has been updated, but okay. So like I said, this is I'm just gonna go as far as to say you basically need to win San Diego to win the state, and to have a shot at winning the state. That is, you're not doing it. You're not doing it at the moment, right? Orange County, that's really bad. That's really bad. But we'll see how election day votes go. If there's long lines in Irvine, California, it may be a good sign. Maybe all the Republicans really did wait to vote in person, and you'll see that get closer. But the thing is, we can't just have, I think Orange County specific, maybe San Diego County, you can get away with a relatively close victory. I think you need a victory. Orange County, you cannot just get away with inching by. Like you just can't. You need basically a blowout in Orange County if you're going to flip a blue state to red magically. And judging by this, I don't think a victory of more than a few points in Orange County is possible, which suggests, and by the way, that's how it is in like general elections, whether it's for Congress, president, whatever, Orange County, because demographically it has shifted. It probably has less to do, like, in the case of Orange County, I don't know so much as it is even immigration more than it is actually just the changing of age, right? Younger voters and just sort of change in like just cultural liberalism. It's just a mess. In Orange County is probably mainly what shifted it, because it's like actually the Vietnamese voters are actually what like keeps it red to an extent. But anyways, with that all being said, Orange County in a normal election, if say Republicans are to win Orange County, they're not going to do it by a blowout anymore. It's going to be close. It's going to be by like a few points at most. And look, judging by it now, if Republicans are to win Orange County based on election day turnout, you look at the margins currently, it's unlikely that that's going to be by anything more than just a few points, right? Right. Well, with that being considered, if we just win by just a few points, that would suggest that it's just kind of like a normal election in California, more or less, maybe slight tilt red, but that's it. And considering California is a state that's like D plus 20, whatever, you can't just have normal results. You need extraordinary results in places like Orange County. And if you're not getting that, I don't think it looks good at all, but we'll see. We'll see. California going to self-destruct. It already has. And frankly, if the people of the state are that stupid, you deserve what you get. You get what you vote for. You deserve what you get. You want to continue to vote for the status quo? That's fine. That's fine. Go for it, right? But don't get mad at us when the state goes to it. I wouldn't even say it goes. It has gone to hell, but I think it goes to hell because of the people that you see. So other factors to consider, and I didn't talk about this earlier when we were talking about it. But also consider the fact that, so let's talk about who is turning out, right? So turnout, from what they've been reporting, has been extremely low amongst Hispanic voters, and generally speaking, seems to be pretty high among white voters. In any other state in the country, that would be a good thing for Republicans. Obviously, really not so much the case in California, and actually, I would say you would assume, right, low Hispanic turnout, even with shifts to the right for Hispanics. Still, generally speaking, low Hispanic turnout is a bad thing for Democrats, generally speaking. But in California, I would say it actually might, in a way, be sort of a bad thing for Republicans, because white Californians, it's California, right? White Californians tend to still lean more liberal than conservative. Obviously, there's a lot of like white conservatives here, but Hispanics, we know, we look at remember, this is the recall poll we went over last month. There's actually a poll showing that Hispanics were the only racial group that actually supported the recall by a plurality, right? Whereas white Californians, only a minority, supported recalling Newsom, with Asians and blacks. Overwhelmingly, they were against the recall. Hispanics, small plurality by a tiny margin, actually were in support of the recall, right? And that's something to consider. And that's something that's find very interesting. Like, is that we know that actually a lot of Hispanics in California are not happy with Newsom, and that's probably a reason why you see lower turnout. Is the fact that obviously, traditionally speaking, California, there's basically been a political machine when it comes to Hispanics, right? They just get them all out to vote. Viva la los democrates. Like, that's just how it's been. Now, what you see that's very interesting is that because this very low Hispanic turnout, number one, could just be because there's not a lot of attention. There's just not a lot of knowledge. It's a special election. You're going to see lower turnout. But number two, also arguably, is somewhat symbolic of sort of a boycott, right? A boycott of this democratic political machine that you're seeing, that they usually use. Like, actually, is because many Hispanics are unhappy with Newsom, and since they're such loyal Democrats, they're sitting out. The problem, I would argue, is that they're sitting out. Right, that's actually a problem for us, because if we are to win, we actually need these Hispanics not just boycott, not just say, "Yo, you're not voting for the Democrats like I usually do, and they usually basically get me to do. I'm actually just going to sit out this election." That's not like, we need them to actually go out and vote yes on the recall, and it doesn't look like that's what they're doing. It looks like you just kind of seeing this boycott. Which, okay, if Hispanic voters are going to leave it to like the rest of the state, still the rest of the state's going to vote for the Democrats, right? So I would argue, it's sort of a wild card in a sense. In a way, it could be argued that lower Hispanic turnout is actually hurting Republicans, not Democrats, in this election. Something interesting to consider. And you look at the polls that were showing that actually Hispanics were the group that supported the recall the most, right? Which was surprising. What you would expect to be surprising. If that is the case, and you're seeing shockingly low Hispanic turnout, It's actually a bad thing for Republicans in a way, which is not something you would normally see, but what you see here. So, anyways, what is the link for this map? I'm on the New York Times map right now. So let's see. We've got some new results. San Bernardino. Again, these are apparently mostly early mail-in ballots, right? So, something that we would expect to favor Democrats. I would see also San Bernardino is probably a county that you need to at least put up a good showing in, like the Inland Empire area. If you want a shot, you have to. San Bernardino is not like a solid Republican stronghold or anything, but I think it's balanced enough to the extent to where you need a good showing here, at the very least, and it's just looking pretty lackluster to me, at least average at the very least. Imperial County is going to be an interesting county to watch. Imperial voted for Hillary. Is on the border. Very interesting. Imperial County is actually very similar to South Texas. A place that voted for Hillary in 2016 has been turning a lot more Republican, right? So this is a county, very Hispanic county. This is a very interesting county to watch. It's going to show about Hispanic turnout. We'll see how it looks here. So far, though, 36% early mail-in voting. It's, Democrats are basically doubling our vote count. So we'll see. You got Imperial County over here. Riverside has no. This is not good. If I'm not mistaken, Riverside was actually blue earlier. I'm correct on that, right? Unless I was being dyslexic. This whole red and blue thing being flipped is kind of throwing me off. But Riverside, no is winning. Yeah, not good. Not good at all. You definitely need Riverside to be pretty heavy blue. And if it's not, well, again, mail-in voting, early mail-in voting. So okay, take it with a grain of salt. But you just can't have this. Just can't be happening. Like you can't have this, right? You need to be winning Riverside County by a lot, and they're not. Not good. So this you got like a Central California area. All right, Kern County. This is where Bakersfield is from. This is where Kevin McCarthy's district is from. Doing okay. This is not bad. This is not bad at all. You look at this. We're actually winning by 11 points here, almost. And this is, like I said, early voting, mail-in voting. So that's actually not that bad. That's actually a fairly. It's just decent. It's decent, right? So we'll see. Kings County. Central Valley area is pretty is like this area right here tends to go Republican, generally speaking. Fresno County, it's getting kind of close. Okay, it's not bad. Now with more votes, it's getting closer in Fresno, right? Like I said, I'm kind of gauging that you probably have to win Fresno by a few points. It's getting closer. It's definitely narrowing. So we'll see how it looks out of Fresno. But all right, let's look at a place like how are we doing in San Diego. And that has not moved, so never mind. Irrelevant. Orange County's not moved either. Let's see if LA County's moved at all. I believe that's where we were before, so I don't think they've updated. Ventura, I don't think is updated either. Santa Barbara. Okay, so these all look basically the same. San Luis Obispo. Monterey. Yeah, it's average. Let's see, up in like Santa Clara. I don't think we've seen a lot of new vote updates, but obviously you're seeing like kind of the rural parts of California. Expected. I don't think you're seeing any huge surprises so far with turnout. Which again, maybe we'll see how election day voting goes. Right, it's a little bit unpredictable, but if you're just seeing kind of normal, yeah, obviously you can't have that. You need to basically. You need to have shocking results, which I'm not really shocked by much so far, which is not good because if the state goes like D plus 10 to 30 every year and it's just kind of average looking, not good, right? Not good. All right, let's check out San Fran just for fun. Yeah, let's see what turnout looks like. San Fran it's Alameda County. Yeah, Alameda County is most of San Fran at least. What you would expect, right? Now, knowing now that these are mostly early mail-in ballots, we'll see election day votes might make this kind of interesting. Right. I think the problem is the margins you already have are just too big. Like it's too big. These are too big to overcome, right? So even you have this huge election day surge. I mean, look at the popular vote. 3 million. You're talking 3 million votes right now. You're talking like 30 points. Election day voting, sure, will make it closer than that. The total will be probably a little bit closer, but also again account for late mail-in votes. I don't think, looking at the way it does, I don't think we have the votes out there to even like get that close. Like, you know what I mean? That's part of the problem here. Yes, you're talking. These ballots mostly are mail-in ballots from the early period. As I warned before, also I don't think that's nearly as partisan as it would be. It was in 2020. But even so, I got to change out the battery in my camera soon. But even so, like, even if it were as partisan as it was in 2020, still, you're talking. This is a pretty big margin you're going to have to overcome. Which I don't know if we have the votes out there necessarily to do it. So that's not great. That's not great. All right, let's go to chat for a few minutes. What's up, chat? How we doing? Check on Sacramento for fun too. All right, let's look at Sacramento. Sacramento County, 66 to 34. Yeah, that's average, right? So, I mean, we'll see how much. That's something else that's going to be interesting. Let me get my battery real quick. How much is election day? Like, how high was the turnout on election day, right? If we're talking about, long lines in Irvine, that's a decent sign. Long lines in Orange County. And I'm switching out the battery, so don't tell me I'm frozen. I know I'm frozen, okay? But like, even so, is there high enough turnout on election day, especially considering that, like I said, there's going to be a lot more Republicans voting by mail this election than you had in 2020? Is the election day turnout going to be nearly enough to even make this thing interesting? Right? I don't know. But we'll see. We shall see. All right, let me put this other battery away. I don't know how long the stream's going to go, so we may have to go through multiple cycles of camera batteries. All right, we're back. All right, folks. So when I was a libtard, they were winning. I don't know what that means. Super long line in LA County, according to my parents. Okay, well, that's actually not necessarily a bad sign, because if the hard right Republican voters were waiting till election day, I see that. The thing is, I'm not sure how big that is, because of, I had to mail in my ballot because it was, that was just a circumstance, but we'll see. The fact that we even got close is a positive. No, well, I mean, if the final vote count. See, here's part of the problem, though. If we are to say that this is only about moral victories, which I don't disregard, I think even making this close is just a good sign. But what are most people going to see? Most people are not going to see the final vote count. They're going to see stuff like this. They're going to tune in. Oh, how's this going? Oh, 30 points. So, see, the Democrats blew them out. It's just like, I don't know if even just the early, maybe if it were to be a moral victory, maybe we'd want to keep it at least a little bit close in the early results. And if the early results look like this, it's just like, I don't know if that'd even be a big moral victory at all. So who's winning right now? I mean, right now, again, we're talking, these are mostly mail-in votes from the early period that already came in. But yeah, right now it's like, that we're getting our ass kicked, right? Which is to be expected. Election day votes are obviously going to help us, but it's all about margins. And I think that they've taken such a huge lead at this point. I don't necessarily think we have the election day votes to save this. Now, I hope I eat my words. I don't know if it's totally impossible. Like, if we're seeing long lines across California right now, and if we're to assume that for the most part, the people who are stubborn enough to vote on election day, considering that everyone got a ballot in the mail, for the most part are going to be unanimously almost Republicans, it could be interesting. Now, the only question then is, how big is the election day turnout and in what places? If there's long lines in LA County, long lines in LA and Orange County, this might be a little bit interesting, but we'll see. We'll see how this goes. What are the statistics on Trelair County? Let's go take a look up north. It's up north, if I'm not mistaken, right? Which one of these? Where is Tulare County? I thought it was up north. Maybe I was thinking of Trinity County. Oh, here it is. Sorry, my bad. My bad. I thought it was up north. Okay, Tulare County. We literally just called this whole place Bakersfield. This whole place is Bakersfield. I don't even care. All right, Tulare County. In terms of mail-in votes, we're winning. Same thing with Kern County. So that's not a bad sign necessarily. Like I think there might be enough votes out there, like judging by, if we are judging that this is early mail-in votes, might there be enough votes out there to make it kind of a close result? I definitely think that's still a possibility if you're looking at places like, Kern County, like basically an 11-point lead, whatever. Are there enough votes to win? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see, right? Let's see if we got it. No update out of San Diego yet. Imperial, kind of disappointing. But we'll see. Again, these are mail-in votes, 36%. Riverside, I don't. That's worrying me a little bit, right? Again, early mail-in votes, sure. Still, Riverside is a place that is Republican. That's kind of, the margin's kind of big, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Any update out of LA? Just still the same here. And look, I think they've called it already. They're calling the race. Is that why is there a check? Why is there a check mark now? Have they literally called? Has the New York Times literally? We're not going to call the race. Okay, we're going to stick out to the end. But if they're all calling the race, let's see. Why are they? Does the no is supposed to mean? Let me see. If they're checking it, that's supposed to mean the race is called, but I don't see anything on the side. I don't know if that means right. Maybe it's just who's winning. But this could lead. It's not gonna, dude. They're not. Okay, first of all, no Fed posting. No storming the Sacramento Capitol. But I don't, dude. What, like, realistically, what did you expect? What did you expect, guys? I don't know. If like I said, if it were close, if we did win, that'd be a really good sign. If not, it's just kind of a reality check. Like I don't think there's any, that is basically what you'd expect. Now here's what I think is interesting. So currently the margin is about 35. Trump, from what I remember in 2020, let me check real quick to confirm. I think he lost by like almost 30, right? Let me take a look. So 2020 presidential election results. Oh, for California, my man. California. Let me get the exact margins for you real quick. So yeah, so about 29. Is that 20? Yeah, about 29, 30. Let's see. Let me get the exact number for you. 63.5. I can do this in my head, but I'm too lazy right now. 29.2. Okay, so I was right. 29.2 points. That's how much. So Trump lost in 2020 by 29.2. The margin currently, based on election day pre-election day voting, which, like we said, favors Democrats. I don't think as much as it did in 2020, but still favors Democrats. It's like little less than 35, like 34.6, right? Now, election day votes obviously are going to turn out, help Republicans a lot. So, but still, it's definitely gonna be a lot closer. Like, you might, at the end of the day, see it within like 10 to 15, maybe even closer than that. But what's interesting is that if it's basically only by a few points, let me see, try to say this correctly, only by a few points ahead of what it was in 2020 for the presidential election, but we haven't counted election day votes yet, there's definitely there's a little bit of room there to catch up, definitely, for the pro recall votes, if that makes sense, right? Because let's just, to simplify this, let's just say hypothetically, it's a little more than that, but let's just say hypothetically right now the margin was 29.2%. And that's all early mail-in votes. And the final margin in 2020 was 29.2%. That suggests that actually Republicans can make it a lot closer because we haven't even gotten to election day votes yet. Now it's like 34. It's about 34 right now, 34, 35. But still not too far off from 29, but we haven't counted any election day votes, which suggests, I think there's definitely room to make it a lot closer. So that's something to keep in mind. Something if you want to keep faith, if you want to trust the plan, that's something to keep in mind. But still, I don't think it's going to succeed. That margin will definitely indicate it's going to be a lot closer than the 2020 presidential election, because we haven't gotten to like I said, election day votes at all, basically. But we'll see. Look at what Reagan did to California. It's so true. It's so true. It's not entirely Reagan's fault, but it is about 60 to 70% Reagan's fault. Maybe about 50%. I don't know. He definitely has a lot of blame in it. I will say that. We'll say that. Vince, give it up. California's doomed. The only way to make it. Not going to read that. But we're not going to give it up. Okay, we're not going to give it. We're going to continue this. I have given my prognosis. I gave my forecast already. But we're going to continue the stream. See, you're trying to psyop me into ending the stream, which we're just not going to do. We're going to continue, okay? The night is still young here. We want to at least see what results are looking like for a few hours, right? How come it's Reagan's fault? I'm curious to know. Mass amnesty. Reagan's amnesty bill changed the face of California a lot, changed the electorate a lot, because obviously the huge illegal immigrant population, but also we also know that Reagan's amnesty bill also, the idea behind it was, it was actually called the Immigration Control Act, right? The idea behind it was that it was actually going to, because of other provisions within the bill, was going to stop illegal immigration. That was the point of it. Instead, right, it only drastically increases illegal immigration. And then you combine that with, I think Bush gave out amnesty to some extent too, right? So it has just totally transformed the face of California. Hold on, my nose is getting stuffy. Why? Why does it have to happen? I don't like that. But amnesty not only gave amnesty to the people currently there, it also in the future changed demographics because it incentivized more illegal immigration. And also consider the fact that, these illegal immigrants, sure, they're illegal, but because of birthright citizenship, in many such cases, have kids who by now are old enough to vote, right? So you look at the long term, everything that amnesty has done for California, just a disaster, right? Not just in terms of directly granting votes to a bunch of former illegals by making them into citizens over the course of a decade, but also incentivizing more illegal immigration, some of which have gotten amnesty themselves, but even those of which who have not have kids who vote on the issue of immigration, vote on the illegal immigration issue, vote for Democrats. And because of the fact that the amnesty bill, we know for a fact, we can basically objectively say incentivize more illegal immigration in the long term. And, legal immigration obviously is a factor too. But if we're talking specifically about amnesty, in the long term, just as a whole, it totally suicided basically the electorate in California. That's not to say that I think cultural liberalism hasn't been equally as much as a problem, right? Because we obviously know it to be the case that even if you took only white voters in California, it's still a blue state. But that definitely puts it over the edge to where it's such a deep blue state with such a high population, definitely because of the amnesty. So, frankly, Newsom won the election, most likely. Let's see. Let me read the updates here. Yeah, to be expected. Massive surge of in-person voting needed. Yeah, to be expected. After this round of early mail-in ballots reported, expect things to slow to crawl. It's true. It's going to take forever. Hold on, let me blow my nose real quick. I have to do this. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. Blowing nose nationalism, epic. But yeah, I mean, it's California election officials be competent challenge, literally impossible. Now we're getting on to basically counting election day votes and late mail-in votes. And you see, in a state like Florida, they basically count all the election votes within the span of election day votes in the span of hours. They count all the votes within the span of hours. But in terms of election day votes, bam, they're done counting it. It is California. Election officials here are incompetent. There's a lot of other stuff. Don't expect election day votes to really just come out as fast as they do in other states, even like swing states, even the states in 2020 that seem to take forever. Yeah, this is gonna be like on steroids, basically. Smory says, "Shut up, Vince. You will never understand it because I'm assuming this is a sarcastic comment because you do not have a degree from an Ivy League school. Democracy isn't cringe. Don't read Aristotle." True. I'm not of the elites. It's true. I don't even know what to say to that. It's just basically a caricature of the way they look at us. That is the way they look at us, essentially. And I'm not inherently anti-elite, right? I'm anti-bad elite, and when you have elites that basically scoff at ordinary people, like that's a bad elite, right? I think elites, it's basically an issue of with great power comes great responsibility. And elites that scoff at their own people and hate their own people and view their own people as like dumb and unworthy and basically want to replace their people with a more loyal constituency from the third world. Those are not elites that I think are going to run a healthy society or going to be good elites, right? And that's the issue. Vince goes Spider-Man mode. I don't know what that means. What did Jose Rodriguez mean by this? Vince, should I go to an Ivy League school and infiltrate if I get the chance? I don't know how good your grades are, man. I'll just say this openly. I did not get into any Ivy League schools. Now, to be fair to myself, because I did have the grades, I did have more or less the resume, but it's also hard, and I also didn't try that hard on the essays, to be frank. Because okay, let me say this. Let me. I don't think my mom is watching this stream. Don't never tell my mom I'm saying this publicly, but I didn't really want to go to an Ivy League school. My mom wanted me to apply, so I applied to the Ivy League schools, but I didn't really try that hard on the application, because I didn't want to go, but don't tell my mom that, because I told her I did do the essay, but I didn't get in, but because I wasn't gonna go. I say if you can bear it, if you can stomach it, I'm definitely not against that. Like we need, we need elites of our own. That's why I'm not even entirely like anti going to college. I mean, I'm in college, but like this whole conservative thing of, don't go to college, take up trade school. Like that's good for most people, but keep in mind that we also, if we want to actually take back this country, like, go to trade school. You don't have to be a slave to like the American regime, to the globalist order. True. But keep in mind, if we actually want to take back the country, it's more than just winning a few elections and going to trade school. You have to be building our own new political class, our own elites, because that's something to keep in mind. Every society has elites. Democracies, quote unquote, ultimately are still ran by elites. In fact, they may be even more so ran by elites than non-democracies, because democracy, the masses are essentially controlled by narratives, right? So that's how it works. And so in reality, in any democratic system, still who's in control of the democracy, quote unquote, is not really the populace in a sense. The populace is controlled by the people who control the narratives. And so that's to say that even in a system where everyone's voting, in this and that, you still need to create our own class of elites. And so I'm not against that. And so to conservatives who really can stomach and really want to go to an Ivy League school, I would say, like, go ahead, like fully do that, get into these Ivy Leagues, become someone in the long term. Maybe it doesn't necessarily take an Ivy League school, but become someone who, has money, wealth, and power. Like I seriously, like I'm serious when I say this. Like I'm not against that at all. Become someone who your university asks for donations, right? Become a donor to your university. Become at least someone who might be a donor to your university, and use that power, use that leverage to change what comes out of these universities, right? Because that's who universities are ultimately beholden to is the donor class, And if we have like a truly conservative donor class and a truly conservative group of elites who run most of the societal institutions in our country, that only then can we truly be in control of the country. Okay, only then. We have to have our own elites, right? Populism is only a means to an end, right? Populism is only a means to like just try to get this class of elites out of power. But let's say we do get this class of elites out of power. What happens then? What happens then is you have to replace them with your own class of elites. we're not communists, we're not leftists, right? We understand hierarchy. We don't believe in like it's just everyone's just gonna live with no gods, no rulers. No, we believe in gods and we believe in rulers, but that's exactly why. Sorry, we believe in God. I should say that we believe in. I was just paralleling. We believe in God, and we believe in the Christian God. But I digress. So at that point, at the point to where, okay, the populist movement is effective, we got these corrupt elites out of power, we have to have our own class of elites essentially replace them. And we can't do that if everyone's just going to trade school. That's just the reality of the situation. You definitely have to have people who go the route of our current societal elites, become the next generation of societal elites, and then, over time, it's kind of like our own version of the Long March that the leftists did, right? That's how we eventually retake power. Something important to consider. Anyways, let's go back to results here. So we got a few new results. It's basically about the same margin we had before. Let's see specific counties and what they're resulting out of. This area up here, like Shasta County, stuff like that. Not the most populated, but basically seeing what you'd expect. Pretty solid turnout, right? Pretty solid turnout for our side. Still black-pilled by Riverside right now. I don't know what's going on there. No new reporting really, but come on, really, Riverside actually elected I think in 2018 maybe it was Riverside City. I know Riverside County is much bigger, but still elected but the county's a sheriff, so I'm pretty sure elected a libertarian over a Republican, right? Which I know it's cringe to an extent, but also kind of shows like that's how deep red the electorate is, that they can actually split the vote between two right-wing candidates and still win. And this is what you're seeing out of Riverside County? Really? Black-pilled yet again. The black pills are dropping fast. All right, most of these haven't moved. LA is still at like 64%. I think that's what it was at before, right? Actually, yeah, okay. So that's actually a little bit bigger than it was before, because I believe yes was about 400,000. Now it's about 500,000. But still, you're not seeing the margin move much. It's still basically around like 73 to 26, give or take, for no. Which with 64%, you need better turnout than that. Quite frankly, you're not getting it. This hasn't moved much. This moved a little bit. Actually, I think that's the same. That's what it was before. You're not seeing a lot of new results. It doesn't look like. Let's just move around here. Yeah. What you'd expect. It's gonna be pretty slow for the rest of the night, I think. Merced, we're not doing too bad in Merced, but I think we basically have to be winning Merced, and we're not, right? Let's see. Alpine County. That is 20% of estimated votes counted, and it's less than 100. That is a tiny county. That is a tiny county. Damn, my nose is getting stuffy again. What is this? What is this? All right. So that's where we're at in terms of results. Poor fellow soldier sends in $5. I don't know if I can read this entire thing on YouTube, but Vince, the ballots are see-through. They are not. I voted on my ballot. I don't remember my ballot being see-through, but I will say there are parts of this that'll probably be very similar to 2020. It's true. And definitely, California probably has the least secure voting system in this entire country. If you want to look at something like 2020 and say, well, look, Georgia was a mess, Arizona was a mess, Michigan was a mess. True. All true. Nothing in comparison to California. Let me just tell you that right now. Like California, everything you saw that was bad about 2020 and the voting systems in 2020 and the vote counting systems and the efficiency of it and the everything of it, California much worse. Okay, and if California were a swing, it's not a swing state. If we're a swing state, and now in the context of an election like this, it is a swing state. I think you know what to expect. Vince, check Stanislaus County. It's 50-50. Where even is that? Lots of obscure counties I'm discovering, even though I'm from California. Isn't that funny? I'm gonna guess it's up north, right? Is that where it is? Stalin, South County, whatever you say that. What county is that, bro? I don't even know what you're freaking talking about. All right. Oh, here it is. Oh, here it is. We're up north. Okay. 50-50. This is county bordering Merced. Okay. That's not bad. That's pretty good. Pretty good. This area, as you get a little bit more inland away from San Francisco, like this is, I know Merced is very agricultural, so it's kind of what I'd expect. It's not a bad result, right? I'm not sure exactly what the breakdown is there, but looking at two old 2010 studies on California and Nevada percentage of illegal immigrants that claim to federally vote, that has only now dramatically increased thanks to no illegal talking points. I would say also take a look at something like keep in mind that I think this is something I often bring up, especially with California. It's not even necessarily like illegal immigrants are also not just a block of people. They're also a voting interest, right? They're a voting interest to a lot of people, especially a lot of Hispanic people, obviously, because it's like even if you have a lot of legal citizens and legal immigrants who are family and friends with illegals and oftentimes still vote on that issue, even though they're like a citizen or their parents are illegals and they're a child, right? Like illegals don't just get amnesty or do other things and vote in the state. It's also the fact that they become a state with a lot of illegals. Naturally, they become a voting interest in that state. People vote based on what illegals around them say, think, or do. Like it becomes this issue, right? And some also keep in consideration, and keep in consideration something like birthright citizenship, which we brought up before. You know, a lot of those illegals that were here in the 80s got amnesty. Some of them didn't. Maybe came here in the 90s, didn't get amnesty, or got amnesty under Bush, or even without amnesty. What am I trying to say? They had kids. And these kids not only are just young people, millennials and Zoomers, so generically speaking, are going to lean Democratic, but also the children of illegals. And I see this happen a lot. This is a huge thing in my high school. It's like they would just become viva la raza, like because of that interest, that tie to their life that illegal immigration has. Heavy Democrat, heavy social activists because of this stuff, right? Because keep in mind that illegal immigration is not just something legal immigration, obviously, but illegal immigration is illegal immigration, not just something that like directly is an issue, indirectly influences a lot more of the electorate than directly people who receive amnesty or whatever else, right? Keep in mind with that. Perhaps conservatives should support UBI. I don't think it's dependent on that entirely. Vince, is there any hope left? To be honest, I think the world is just going to go to shit. Should I game? I don't think blackpilling is an effective political strategy. I don't think we should have expected much. It gets close. It wins, great. If the worst case scenario, California goes by like average margins to the no. Which is not a great sign. At the same time, it's a fairly average result. Keep in mind, you are talking about California. I don't think it's an higher cause to be blackpilled. It is a little bit of a wake-up call because, if we were very excited about the recall and it just basically get blown out, it's like a reality check, which is something that can sometimes be good. It definitely helps Democrats. It helps them a lot. But I don't think it's entirely the future of the country is dependent on the California recall, unless you live in California, in which case I feel bad for you. And I would say, come join us, right? Come join us. We're here. It's fun. It's much better. I don't miss home. It's true. The rest of the U.S. isn't California. True. I will say that ever since I moved here, and gone to school here too, I would not say I've become more politically moderate, because when I break down everything I believe, I'm not. I'm like, no, actually, if anything, maybe you're even harder right. Not because of Florida, but just in terms of things that have been happening. But I'm a lot more white-pilled, a lot less like Doomer-esque than I was living back in California. Like I come here, sometimes I come here and I have an experience, and I think we talked about this another show. I have an experience with someone or whatever it is, and and for a second, I broadly think things might be okay. And then, I plug into Twitter, and then I'm just like, oh, and then I see what's happening in the news, and I'm just like, oh. But see, in California, everything like real life added to that. I was gonna see things in real life. I'm like, yeah, it's exactly what I thought is happening. Sometimes I come here, and I don't know. It's just sometimes like someone or something is more like base than I thought it would be, or it's just my expectations are just like shattered sometimes. I think I like the examples I've told of this are like people who like turn out to be like surprise conservatives that don't even look like it. I'm just like, what? But like experiences like that, minor white pills here and there. Sometimes in Florida, sometimes I turn to things. I'm like, maybe we'll be okay. Just for an instant. Okay. That's not to say that I think we should take the foot off the pedal or anything like that. But it is to say, if you are in California and you're just losing hope, you've totally lost hope, try another state out. Maybe you'll have, because I think we have to have some degree of hope. We have some degree of faith that we will be able to win to be remotely effective at all, right? Because what is the point ultimately of fighting any political battle if it's destined to lose, right? So I don't think being black pilled permanently is effective. I think it's very bad. Now, temporary black pills when things get really, really bad can be effective in the sense that they kind of wake you up to the reality of things, right? And so I don't think black pills are always bad. But like long term, it's all stupid. It's also tiresome. It's also stupid. That's just not good. Like that's just not effective political strategy. Like you're just not going to be politically effective like that. So I would say try your best to actually have a positive outlook for the future of the country. And I will say this is far from the be all and end all of anything. Okay, so fake journalist Lisa Lerner, but actually says a pretty. This I think is actually a pretty solid take. Expect to hear comparisons between the last successful California recall, which Schwarzenegger put Schwarzenegger in office in 2003, and today. California was still a blue state 2 decades ago, but Schwarzenegger ran on local issues. Larry Elder, the leading Republican this time, really leaned into the national culture war. True to an extent. Elder did try to stress a lot of local issues too, but he's just a figure. He's a national political conservative figure. He's just naturally by existence going to lead into the national culture war. Also, I would say back in 2003, there really wasn't as much of a national culture war back then, and Schwarzenegger was a popular celebrity. So I think there's more to it than that. But that is an interesting point. I don't think Elder really tried to, but I think just his presence in the race, like we said, like. He's just a known conservative. He's a known like partisan figure. And so I think naturally they're going to try to do it anyway, but him being there did make the recall a lot more partisan than maybe it otherwise could have been if they tried. It would have turned partisan anyway because of the Democratic fundraising campaign. But him being there did make it a little bit more partisan, which like did not help us, right? It didn't help us because if it's everyone votes along party lines, Democrats win the state. We know that. And we know that, all other factors aside, it's just genuine organic votes. We know that, right? So 12 minutes ago, they called the race for Newsom. Not surprising. That's basically what we said. AP just called it for Newsom. Yeah, I mean, I predict the final margin will look quite a bit better than this, but yes, it's basically what I'd expect too. And if the eggheads are saying now, the eggheads are not always right on this, but if the eggheads are basically calculating that they don't think there's enough votes out there, I'm inclined for once to sort of trust them because that's sort of just my instinct on the issue. So yeah, we'll see. Is North Carolina a base state? I have nothing. I've never been to North Carolina, but I have nothing against North Carolina. Your guy's governor sucks, sort of. I mean, he's not the worst Democrat, obviously, but he is a Democrat. But I don't hate North Carolina. I will say that based on trends, I don't think North Carolina is necessarily going to be like the next Georgia. I think it's something that'll kind of demographically remain somewhat similar. And actually, I don't think Republicans are even maxed out in North Carolina, which is a good thing. Y'all think California is depressing? Good thing you don't live in Canada. True, or Australia, but that's where we're headed at the same time. So I don't know if that's great. Split California in two. I'm sorry, this is just not a good opinion. I mean, you know why? Okay, theoretically, okay, let's say we split north south. It's still a blue state because LA County is going to make Southern California blue. San Francisco area going to make Northern California blue. Maybe you split it along the coastline, right? Theoretically, okay, maybe that'll work. It's not how it's going to happen, right? So it's just not a. I'm just telling. It just wouldn't work. It's not going to work the way you think it will. Now, if you split along the coastline, maybe, right? Like outer California, inner California, that would never happen like that. Even so, I don't even know if it's necessarily guaranteed. I mean, look at all the red out here. Remember in this election that red means blue. Okay, red means blue. Just remember it that way. Even inner California, I think you would lean Republican more often than not. Still not a guaranteed thing. So you might be adding actually more senators for Democrats. I don't know if it's a great. I don't know if that's necessarily going to go the way you. Oh, we got Elijah in the chat. He sends $100. Let's go. What a chat. What a chat. Thank you, Elijah. He says, good job covering this. Thank you very much. We love to see it. We love to see it. But Elijah, when am I going on your show, man? We gotta coordinate this. Let's make this happen. But yeah, thanks for all that you do, man. Thanks for all the help too throughout the years. We love to see it. We love Elijah, folks. Right as we were getting blackpilled. It's so true. Right as we were getting blackpilled, Elijah Schaefer pulls up in our live chat. That's epic. That's epic. We love to see it. We love to see it. I'll fly you out soon. Been delayed. No, I'm messing with you, man. I'm messing with you. Okay, but the people are demanding. The people ask me too. I know they ask you. They ask me sometimes. I'm just like, it's gonna happen, and I keep giving them the politician answer. So, yes. And congrats on the new show, by the way. We'd love to see it. We got Monster Z in chat too. Let's go. Everyone's just pulling up right now. What did I miss? You missed basically our defeat. The AP's calling it, New York Times calling it. I'm basically gonna call it too. I mean, you just look at the way we don't have the numbers. We genuinely don't have the numbers we have the numbers to make this a lot closer than the current margins are. And I think that's what's going to happen because most of the ballots that you see coming in now, mostly early mail-in, obviously election day is going to help us. The final margin will look probably more respectable than this. And I would argue more respectable than 2020 by quite a few points, but still I would expect pretty solid victory for Newsom, probably over 10 points at least, maybe even over 20. We'll see how election day turnout ends up. But I would say a chance of victory is 0. You're not going to recall him. You might make the final thing a little interesting, but I would say even the chance of getting it under 10 at this point, not the highest. Maybe election day turnout is a huge surge that makes the final score. It's like in college football. Only college football fans will get this, but in college football, there's a practice of because rankings are subjective in college football, unlike the NFL where it's like objective rankings. If you lose, you lose. Kind of, how when you're getting your butt kicked, but you want to score a few touchdowns to make the score look respectable, so you look better in the rankings. That's our goal right now. Hope the election day turnout turns out in that way. So I wonder what Gavin's speech will be after this. Actually, we could see when that's happening because I think Gavin Newsom is expected to speak at some point. It is only 9:00 in California, so we'll see when exactly that comes out. But Elijah Schaefer says VinceDao nationalism. So true. So true. So true. I know. It's just as the chat was getting white-pilled, 2 massive YouTubers showed up. We love to see it. I've been working on something pretty big, actually. That's part of why I've been doing smaller videos. All right. We will wait. I don't know how many alternate history videos there are that haven't been done already. So if you work on something very big, that might be kind of interesting because I think you have an infinite amount of scenarios, but the very generic ones have been so overdone. And what if Germany won World War II? What if the South won the Civil War? What if the Roman Empire never collapsed? Stuff like that. There are a lot of more niche things that I feel like I'd be very interested to see when it comes to alternate history, right? Like something like I don't know. What if the Bronze Age collapse never? I don't even know if that's really a feasible one. But what if the Bronze Age collapse never occurred, and those like Bronze Age kingdoms, civilizations that you never really hear much about, actually like continued on, and you never really had the classical period? That's an interesting one. It's a very interesting alternate history video, something like that, you know. Or maybe not even like what if Germany won World War II, but what if the proposed German alliance, and this is kind of what they were hoping might happen before D-Day. I don't know how many people know this. During World War II, when, you know, it's sort of like 1942, 1943, when things started to turn against the Germans, they actually were hoping that, sort of because, you know, the USSR, the communists, were actually an older, more historic, and more diametrically opposed enemy to the West, to the like the Western republics, right? The Nazis were actually hoping that they could maybe break some type of peace with the Allies and then join up together to fight the Soviet Union, which they were, and to an extent, they were hoping that the alliance between the Soviet Union and the Allies would naturally collapse, because you're just like, you have a bunch of Western capitalists working with communists. And that never ended up happening. D-Day basically invalidated the premise that would ever happen, because it's like, you know, total war. The Allies are coming for Berlin too. But hypothetically, if that sort of plan ended up playing out, now that'd be very interesting to see what the world would look like. Because hypothetically, you would, in essence, the Cold War eventually would probably be between Germany and the West rather than the Soviet Union and the West. Interesting hypothetical scenario. That's an alternate history video I think I haven't seen much of. Monster Z says that'd be a badass scenario, but it would depend a ton on speculate. That's true. It's true, right? But you know, you have things like the man in the high castle, whatever, which is not very realistic, but still stuff like this. You never really get the idea of, because this was a thing. Hitler thought this would happen. If you know, the Allies turned on the Soviet Union and became like proxy allies with Germany in the same way we were proxy allies with the Soviet Union during World War II, and that played out. No one ever really talks about this. Nobody really even knows that this was something that was proposed and kind of Hitler wanted to happen. But it's a very interesting alternate history scenario, isn't it? Isn't it? Vince, let me give you a twist on my own. Did you know Germany and the USSR originally had an alliance to take down the Allies? Oh, I actually did not. I mean, I know they had the non-aggression pact, but I never really knew that was actually really a thing. That'd be an interesting world too. That'd be very. That wouldn't be good for Great Britain. I don't know if Britain could survive a double onslaught like that, but it's an interesting scenario right there. What if America joined the Axis? I that probably wouldn't have happened. What I think what would be more likely to happen is whether America joined the Central Powers in World War I. That's more likely than America joining the Axis. I think that was basically impossible. But the Nazi-Soviet pact. I know they had a non-aggression pact. I did not know they had a plan to like team up against the Allies. I never knew that part of it. The Bushes ruined the GOP. I'd really argue that it goes further back than that. I really think the fusionists, and this might be a hot take with like the boomer viewers, I think the fusionists ruined the GOP. You know, William Buckley, Barry Goldwater, this sort of brand of like small government conservatism that formed the new Republican Party, and ultimately culminated with Reagan, right? And Reagan, to be a little bit fair to him, he was more so influenced by, he's a puppet almost of like Goldwaterism, of Buckley, right? A fusionism, but he's still a fusionist. Reagan winning, though, validated fusionism as basically the new brand, new ideology of the GOP, right? Because you look at someone like Nixon. Nixon was not really the biggest like small government conservative type of person. Now he didn't really push them out. You know, he didn't try to ostracize that heavily core conservative base. But you know, Nixon is someone who, in terms of governmental style, probably rather similar to kind of someone like Trump, right? He's kind of, I don't know if I call him a populist necessarily, but he definitely was not like a hardcore libertarian by any means. He's more of like a right-wing authoritarian. That's sort of how he governed more to an extent, right? Nixon is someone, quite frankly, I think we ought to look to a lot more than we do Reagan, right? But Nixon, Watergate, number one, and then this and that, and then Reagan ultimately winning in 1980. That's what really set the GOP on path away from like Eisenhower Nixon style GOP, which just like it's just good, right? I don't know if it's perfect, but it's definitely much closer to what we want. Now that's what gave birth to the William Buckley, Barry Goldwater, Ronald Reagan GOP, and that from that I would argue it was inevitable that the George Bush GOP rises, right? That was basically the next step from that, because the Reaganite fusionist GOP, to their credit, were more Cold Warriors, right? That was their issue. But I think it was basically inevitable that following the collapse of the Soviet Union, the logical conclusion of most of those Cold Warriors, minus a few people like Pat Buchanan, who ultimately split and declared themselves the paleoconservatives, for the most part, it was pretty inevitable that they would turn into the globalist neocons that you see the establishment GOP has become today, right? If you ever really wanted to stop that, first of all, Barry Goldwater never should have been a Republican nominee, but I would argue maybe if Watergate never happened, right? If Nixon wasn't so discredited, Nixon wasn't so disgraced, Nixon was allowed to finish his term, I think would have been a pretty good president overall if he was able to, which in turn probably means maybe Reagan would still run, but even so, I think Reagan would probably be more influenced less by Goldwater and Buckley, and maybe a little bit more so by Nixon, right? Because he'd be more emulating that GOP. Arguably, perhaps, who knows? If that had happened, you'd probably see much better GOP. So in short, a combination of Watergate, National Review, Goldwater, and Reagan, that's what gave us this GOP, which we don't like. So, Carter Shaw says they created Watergate to convince the American people to hate him. True. Watergate. We hate Watergate, don't we, folks? We hate Watergate. PSYOP, one of the greatest PSYOPs in American history. It's true. Is Nixon opening trade to China was a good move or a bad thing? And yeah, obviously nowadays that was a bad thing. Something Nixon did that wasn't good. It made sense at the time. It wasn't good. But to be fair to Nixon, I think we had about 30 or so years after that to really stop it from happening, and we didn't, right? As late as like 2011, you have someone like Joe Biden, who at the time is the vice president, someone from the Uniparty, basically still saying that China's not eating our lunch or whatever, right? So to be fair to Nixon, I think it made sense at the time strategically, sure, to basically try to rift China away from the Soviet Union, which did actually work. But we had, I think, a pretty long time after that to like stop that or cut that off. And really the problem is nobody thought to do it. To be fair to Nixon, I don't think that single moment he kind of opens up to China is like just the be all end all. And that's why we have China today. Like I would argue there are a lot of points along the way where we could have like, okay, pump the brakes on it, but nobody did. That's something else to consider, something else to keep in mind. California is the land of fruits and nuts. This is true. Great comment, by the way, from Noah Boy. Thank you for the $5. But see, this is supposed to be a comment about the Central Valley, stuff like that. But the people there also are very fruity and very nutty. It's true. It's a true statement. So, what if the Australians won the Emu War? Good question. I mean, realistically, it would just mean that they're not the subject of hilarious internet memes. But still, maybe Z can come up with a crazy fallout scenario, like a scenario where the fallout of that results in just being like the craziest thing ever. Thoughts on Huey Long? I'm kind of conflicted on Huey Long. I mean, I hear arguments in favor, for or against from like our perspective. I mean, to be frank, I don't really care. He's more of just a symbol. Was pretty hard left on some things where I can't entirely like him. But what I will say is that I think the model of Huey Long in terms of his willingness to use power and his kind of presence as being someone who is pretty authoritative and authoritarian, but using that power for good, that is something just in principle, in aesthetic, whatever it is, that the right can learn a lot from and can emulate. It needs to emulate if it wants to be effective. And if you want to get into specific beliefs and policies of Huey Long, frankly, I don't know enough about all of that. But I do know that symbolically, like just what Huey Long sort of just stood for in general, vaguely, that is just something that conservatives should look at and say, okay, I didn't agree with this, that, or Huey Long, but overall, his methods and his approach to things, we don't, not even necessarily that we have to emulate that exactly. We should kind of learn from that. We should have learned from that willingness to just wield power to basically try to do good, at least. That's what I would say about Huey Long. We want Nathaniel Abbott to become king of everything. True. Nixon was kind of based. I mean, definitely more based than Reagan, I would say. If we were able to keep the party of Nixon and Eisenhower, I don't know if it's entirely perfect, but you just overall be much better places as a country as you are now. By the way, Nixon was very big about stopping communists and like social leftists from infiltrating our institutions. Okay, let me just say that. That is something that Nixon warned us about. That is something that Nixon took very, very seriously. Okay. So with that being said, why exactly do you think they tried so hard to take this guy down? I don't know. It's just something to consider, right? Because he was very big. Okay, I get it. Gold standard, opening trade to China, whatever. Nixon was huge on keeping like conservative control, essentially, of our institutions. And he saw it. He called it white long before anyone else did. The fact that the Marxists and the communists were infiltrating our universities, right? He even said that the media, the professors, all of these like institutions that we now hate today, and people at the time probably thought he was schizophrenic for saying it, but every institution you can think of today, there's one quote I love from Nixon. I think it goes like, the media are the enemy. Hollywood is the enemy. The professors are the enemy. Like, he just is based, and you see that today, and you're like, so true. But consider it back then, it's like, he would have probably sounded crazy back then. It's like, what are you talking about? The professors and the media, the enemy, whatever it is. And he ended up being right on all those things. So, I don't know. Just ask the question, why did they try so hard to take this guy down? I don't know. Something to keep in mind. Something to think about, right? Would JFK be considered a conservative? No, I wouldn't say so. I don't think he was. Keep in mind that a lot of the things that LBJ did, Kennedy wanted as well. Now, Kennedy, is not like the worst, I don't think, but I think the whole line that Kennedy was a conservative, not really accurate. And I don't just say that because he was in support of, like, I don't know, bigger government, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? But I think that, keep in mind, Kennedy was, broadly speaking, in support of a lot of the 1960s social movements. Like, you know what I mean? So something to keep in mind. The guy was not the biggest. The guy's not like a modern liberal by any stretch of the imagination, but I wouldn't say one of like the biggest conservatives that we had. So anyways, let's see. Recall updates. The race has been, I'm basically saying the race is called too. But yeah, I mean, if the only chance in 2022, Kevin Faulkner, red wave year, close recall election, maybe this blowout, I don't think it has any chance of happening, really. And Jennifer Medina says Republicans have made it clear that they will sow doubt in the results of the election, but a large margin of victory will make it more difficult for them to do so without any evidence. That's actually not a bad take. Like, you can't. We have to be within at least 10 to really raise like serious doubts that could do anything. I mean, let's be honest. They haven't really done anything for us in the past, but even if we want to go down that route, you gotta have results that are somewhat within the margin of error. You know what I mean? That's actually a true take. Shut up, Guy Fieri. You're literally Guy Fieri. I don't want to hear your opinion. If Vince Dow was never born, we'd all be screwed. So true. Literally so true. What time is it on the East Coast? Where I am, by the way. 12:36 a.m. Okay, no, the night is still a little bit young. We can keep streaming here. I don't think Ask Monster Z about Long. I want to hear your thoughts on Long. You're the history guy, not me. Not me. I mean, I have a few takes on like some of the founding fathers and stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm. You're more much more historically literate than I am. So, all right. Let's see here. Alternate history. Trump never won in. Okay, that's actually a good one. If Trump never won in 2016, that'd be very interesting. Whew, what would the country look like? I don't know. I don't. I mean, conventional thinking would be that you at least needed Trump to win to have some hope for the country. At the same time, 4 more years of the Uniparty, 4 more years of basically the liberal establishment. Arguably speaking, in 2020, you might have seen someone like Trump that was even like more radical and like more based to the extent to which, I mean, the country would be in a worse off place, but where the Overton window would be on the right, I don't know. That's just something to consider. I don't know. It's an interesting scenario. I think overall we'd definitely be off much worse in the long term of things because I think you also have to consider that I think losing in 2016 would have been a validation and been like, see, we could have beaten Hillary Clinton, but we had to choose this crazy populist guy, and he's like this nationalist, and see, this discredits right-wing populism. And then what do? They choose another establishment candidate or even like a Tea Party guy in 2020, and that's just like the permanent state of politics. So now that I think of that, now that I kind of bring that up, I think that in long term, we needed Trump to win in 2016 because without him, I think Trump losing, especially by the margins people thought he would have basically permanently discredited our movement. And Trump was really our only like significant shot at it. But the fact that he won now basically permanently gives us credibility. And so we have something to work with. I think if he lost, we wouldn't have much to work with. So now that I think about it, I think that's all right, Monsieur Z said Long was a solid politician and Barr maybe safe for maybe redistributism matches a lot of populist conservative policies. I mean, that's basically true. I mean, I don't agree with him on everything, but I think he's an interesting figure. I think someone that conservatives should definitely take a look at. Don't have to emulate entirely, but learn a few lessons from. Wilson Feliz says, so Vince, have you seen any girls over in Florida that catch your fancy? Wilson Feliz always with the weird comments, man. First of all, he's trying to get me to be a farmer. Now he's asking me about the situation with the woman. Okay, we are single, boys. Okay, we are single, but we're not entirely cut off from society, but we are single. Okay, that's what I will say about it. So that's what I'll say about that. Hey guys, convertible Camaros suck. Yeah, I don't think a Camaro is really a car to drive as a convertible. I think a convertible Mustang is really the only type of like muscle car that works as a convertible, like a Challenger or a Camaro. I think you kind of have to have a closed top with that. Nixon is one of the most underrated presidents. Base take from Lalo. I absolutely agree. It's true. Convertible Camaros are awesome. I don't know. The shape doesn't feel right to be a convertible. That's not to say Camaros are terrible. And then, to be honest, I think Mustangs and Challengers look much cooler than a Camaro. I know Camaros overall, actually, I think are faster than both of them, like per model, right? Like as you move up in models, generally speaking, Camaros are actually the fastest. Now, to be fair, I don't know how much like 10 and 15 miles an hour makes when you're driving on the freeway anyway. It's not like you're going to have a full race at like 200 miles per hour, but Lalo says Lyndon Johnson was one of the worst effective presidents. Also true. Thoughts on NASCAR Clash moving to LA? I don't know. I'm surprised NASCAR would do anything in LA though. I don't think they have a lot of fans here. I think most of their fans are in like in the red states, right? I would think so. That's kind of weird. Hey Vince, you're awesome. Sending love from Canada. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sorry that you have to be Canadian. I'm sorry. The state of your guys' country, man. Feels bad. I mean, our country's not doing great either, but Canada. Oof. Trump should have pardoned Edward Snowden. True. What if Reagan appointed Pat Buchanan VP instead of HW? Oh, now probably realistically that wouldn't have happened because Buchanan was not a big enough figure in the party. But if he did, Oh, what could have been? What could have been? Pat would have would have won in 88. He would have won in 92 as well because he would have actually basically stuck to promises. And he would have set the tone for like 30 years of an effective Republican Party. We would have never needed Trump. We would have never had a Trump because we would just have people who are basically trying to emulate Buchanan. Okay. And we'd have a political dynasty basically built by Buchanan instead of by H.W. Bush for at least 30 years. Imagine what could have been. Imagine what could have been in the 2000s. First of all, let's be honest, 9/11 likely never happens under this scenario. Under a Buchanan-led Republican Party, assuming he serves for 2 terms, 9/11, let's remind ourselves, was a byproduct, not saying it was our fault, but it was a byproduct of American intervention in the Middle East. That's why Osama was so pissed at us. That's why you had terrorist attacks throughout the 90s. Now, Buchanan was big on, he believed we should have just withdrawn essentially from the world after the fall of the Soviet Union. That was his take on it. That's a big reason why he primaried Bush and thought Bush was going off the rails, was because that's why he split with the neoconservatives. He was against the American global nation building thing. So assuming, a Republican or someone just whatever wins in 96, and just doesn't go full HW Bill Clinton mode, let's just assume, maybe that still happens. Let's assume because Buchanan sets the tone for U.S. foreign policy instead of H.W. Bush, you probably never have a 9/11. And you probably never have anything that falls out of 9/11. And so, I don't know where this country would be right now. Much better place. Let's just say much better place. And we'd probably have a rather effective American right. Because, Buchanan was also big on manufacturing too. Also keep in mind this. Buchanan was big on manufacturing, he also would have set the tone for like the right being immigration restrictionist, which really didn't come around until Trump. So there'll be that. We'd be like 20 years ahead of the curve on that. And then we'd be 20 years ahead of the curve on stuff like trade too, because Buchanan was raising the alarm back in like the 90s on, globalization and the destruction of American manufacturing, stuff like that. We might have actually been able to get ahead of that and basically still have been more or less the manufacturing superpower of the world too, with, and done a little bit of something to kind of put a stop to the rapid effects of immigration. It's a fever dream, I know, but like imagine where we could be right now. Oh, Pat. We love Pat. Just imagine this. Imagine this. What do you think of Ross Perot? He was decent. I don't agree with him on everything. He definitely was. He wasn't bad though. Overall, and he probably too socially liberal for me, economically pretty solid for me. What I will say, he was before his time. He was a disruption to the system. Before a time where populism was a strong sentiment. But he was an interesting disruption to the system, I would say, right? Nadia Kai says, hi, sending love from Georgia. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Appreciate the $2. Perot was pro-abortion. That's something I bring up. He's he's socially liberal. That's what I'll say. But I think that he did sound the alarm on things like, manufacturing and national debt. Would have been better than Clinton by far, right? Because, at least we wouldn't have as much of a hollowed out country in the way that we do, right? So that's something to keep in mind. California would be the type that would be afraid for a BB gun and ban them. Unironically, you cannot buy air rifles, I think, anymore on like Amazon in California. Like you have to go physically get one. Because I remember that. I remember looking at like a pellet gun or something in California, and I used to be able to get, I don't know if this has changed state law, whatever it is. I used to be able to get it on Amazon. And then by the time I was leaving, it was not available. Will not ship to your state. It does ship to this state though. So, but it would not ship to my state back home, which was interesting, which sucked. What if Monsieur Z established the US of Z? We'd be doing a great job right now. We want Larry, Mexican Americans for MAGA. The Hispanic turnout was too low. That was a problem. It was a boycott Newsom and boycott the Democrat political machine instead of actively vote against it. So that's part of the problem, right? Why do you think people from California hate Florida? Florida to them is like California to us. Yeah, it's a mutual hatred, I think. Them's pulling out all the stops and wasting a lot of money in a state like California is pretty keck, not a good look for them. Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, we definitely we made them spend a lot of resources. They spent more money than we did in this recall. You know, the National Democratic Party had to get involved. They were that worried about it. Which, you know, it's kind of a cope, but at the same time, is something to consider as a silver lining. That's not bad. M1 Garand or M1 Carbine. Okay, look, the Carbine's probably a little more practical. You know, it has a magazine. It won't murder your thumb on accident. It's smaller. It's lighter. It's easier to carry around. With all that said, M1 Garand any day of the week. Shut up. No coping. Okay, I don't care. It's more practical, bro. You know, it's probably less recoil. It also shoots a 30-06, I believe, right? I don't know if it shoots a smaller caliber. It's like, bro, you got a shorter barrel. It's easier to carry. It has a magazine. Shut up, nerd. Shut up, loser. M1 Garand for life. I don't care. I don't care if it hurts my shoulder like hell. I don't care if it's like this freaking long. I don't care if the whole clip mechanism is actually less practical, and I don't, and it gets dirty. I shut up. I don't care. The M1 Garand is epic, and we will always show for it. We will always show for it. I don't care. That's the gun I always used in World War II games. Yeah, it's not the gun that you use in World War II games. It's the gun real soldiers used in World War II. Okay. No. I hate when people are like, I know that gun from a video game. No, I shot that gun. Okay, I shot that gun. And my great-grandfather shot that gun too. In real life, though. Vince, mate, you're going to run for governor for 2022? I live in Florida, okay? Well, no, I'm not going to run against DeSantis, okay? It's not going to happen. I don't know. I don't even know what the age for governor is here, but machine gun is unconstitutional. It's not unconstitutional, but it's actually it's illegal under the Hughes Amendment. Sorry, blanked out there, but it's not totally illegal. There's ways to get it. It's just very expensive, but machine gun ban is unconstitutional. Oh yeah, I would argue it is. I own that gun and my great-grandfather shot an MP40. Why did your great-grandfather shot an MP40? Did your great-grandfather shoot an MP40 because he tried it out, or did he shoot it because... I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm not judging you for it. I'm just asking. I don't know. But you own an M1 Garand. Okay, you're lucky. I will own one day. Okay, one day, boys, one day. All right, Vincia state-based. Very won the movement. Might not make it to the 2030s, but good stream. See you, man. APU all the way. We love to see it. Based. Thank you very much. Have a good night. Vince going to push DeSantis to the right. Unironically, we're going to work on it. Okay, we're going to work on it. We're going to work on it. All right, we're going to work on it. Thoughts on revolvers? I actually want a Colt 45, like really bad. You know, I will get one day. I probably won't get an actual one. I'll probably get like the Uberti replica because it's probably pretty expensive to get an actual one. And an Uberti replica probably not old as hell and probably just is cleaner and works better anyway. But I'm a really big fan of like single action revolvers. I think they're cool. I like them. Mainly because they look cool and mainly because they're used by cowboys. I'm going to be honest. That's the reason why. With that being said, I don't know, like modern revolvers, they're okay. I don't know. I think I'd rather just have a regular pistol. Or I'd rather have like a single action to actually like a LARP as the Wild West. But I'm not anti-revolver. But I like vintage revolvers, not like, you know, snub nose 44 Magnum. Like I'm not really into those. Vince would use Florida to push westward and establish a new California Republic. It's so true. Hold on. Actually, as a matter of fact, hold on. Let me take this down real quick. Okay. On the topic of that, it is sorry. I'm not gonna say what it is. Okay. I have some things in my decoration room that I'm just not gonna show on stream. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. So give me a second, and then I'll show you. I have to take it off the wall, and then I'll show you. Okay, and then I'll show you. All right, now it is safe. Now it is safe to show you. Okay, I have a bunch of water bottles on there, so excuse the mess on the shelf. But like literally, it's very funny you say that. It's very funny you say that the new California Republic is going to expand west, because look at what is on my wall up there. Look at that. Look at that. It's so true. It's so true. It's like literally the case. It's like literally the case. Like I put that up there as a reminder. That is what we are going to do. That's what the new California Republic is unironically going to do. It's true. It's true. Actually, you know what? I forgot. I should probably full screen it so that way you could see what. I don't know if you guys actually saw it. I mean, the results are irrelevant now anyway. Yo, epic. See that? That's us right there. That's literally us. See that guy right there with the ox cart? That's me. The reason I choose the guy with the ox cart, because it's also like an Asian thing. Like that's how you look at the ancient Chinese stuff. That's over there. See, you can't see it, but the natives on the other side that are like quaking in fear because Christ is coming, or sorry, the followers of Christ are coming. Those aren't actually natives. Those are just Californians. Like, you know, if you understand what that poster actually meant, that poster was actually a foreshadowing of VinceDao nationalism and not of actual manifest destiny. It's true. It's true. The best painting in America. It is true. It is the best painting in American history. I know it's actually slightly controversial, slightly unoptical for me to have it up and to actually be showing it. I don't care. I literally don't care. I literally don't care. It's epic. Deal with it. We're reclaiming manifest destiny as a good thing. Actually, as a good thing. Deal with it. You mad? You mad? What's your take on the situation with General Milley? I mean, our military industrial complex, our intelligence complex is just corrupt. I mean, what the hell do you expect? They just suck. The revolvers are possibly the most aesthetically pleasing gun. Also, I think that's the first time I've seen that painting. Well, you're from England, right? So I understand that. That's a painting of Manifest Destiny. It's basically a concept during Western expansion, 1830s through like the 1870s, whatever. The idea that it was kind of our God-given right as Americans and our manifest destiny to expand west. It's based. True. I like how just assertive and like you could never get away with this painting today. I like how assertive it is, because if you look closely at the painting, right, you can essentially see the assertion that America is making that we are not just expanding our people here, we are civilizing the lands, which is just like I mean, that's part of why I have it up, because I know it pisses people off, and I'm like, no, but it's kind of true though. So what I like is that woman is, which I forget what exactly she's supposed to represent. Like, I know she's supposed to represent someone. I don't know. I mean, she's holding a Bible in one hand. But if you actually look closely, she's carrying like electricity cords, right? Like they're building power poles along for the railroad, whatever. And she's actually carrying them out westward. Like, we're literally bringing trains and railroads and civilization westward. It's like an epic image. And then you look on the other side, the way they portray the, it's kind of based. It's just like, I don't care how controversial it is. It's just epic. It's just epic. If Americans can, like, I don't like patriotism. Listen, patriotism, the whole patriotism thing on the right, it's like, well, we just love the American flag, everything will be okay. True. But if Americans start taking pride and not apologize, but take pride for what is represented in that painting, nobody can stop us, because we are so like determined as a people and so like proud as a people. It's just like, who could possibly stand up to us, like deal with us, right? But that's part of the problem. Patriotism in America has become way too apologetic, right? It's like, yeah, we love the flag, but we apologize for this, and that. That painting is like, nope, no, we don't apologize. It's literally our God-given destiny that we do this. I'm just saying, if Americans thought like that again, that's part of what people miss about the patriotism part. It's like, patriotism nowadays comes with way too much apology. If that was a patriotism that we kind of believed in, then America would be in a cool place. Telegraph lines, yeah. That's what they are. California needs a Dow for office. They're not going to get it, though. That's the thing. They're not going to get it. They clearly don't want it. They clearly don't want it either. So, take over all of North and South America. True. I feel like our manifest destiny for this century needs to be to reclaim our own cities, right? America's cities are a godless pit of scum and villainy. And we know that to be true. I'm not even necessarily saying like move to Compton to just own the globalists or whatever, but I'm just saying like in the long term, I feel like that's kind of our manifest destiny of this century. Reclaim, re-civilize, re-Christianize our own cities. Our own cities. It is our manifest destiny that we reclaim them because they literally exist in our country. It's not even westward expansion at this point. I don't know. But it'd be interesting. Imagine a manifest destiny poster for us. Like you have this woman carrying a Bible out, and I don't know if she would be expanding telegraph lines, but she'll be expanding. I don't know, some form of like civilization, whatever. And it's like us bringing civilization. On the other side, you just have the current populations of the inner cities, acting like. And you have like us, like just the based Christian conservatives, just like moving into the cities. Like, no, we're civilizing these lands, bro. It's true. It's kind of what we need nowadays. APU paintball tournament. I would rather do. I've never actually done either. I want to. I'd rather do airsoft because airsoft just looks more fun and looks more like kind of realistic in terms of like emulating like a real gunfight. But that would be fun. That'd actually be really fun. I'm down for that. We should do that. How are the results coming along? We've already called the race, bro. But if we want to look back here, let's see what we're at right now. They haven't even moved. President Biden also, yeah. That literally is not moved from what it was before. So sad. We're hoping it would be close enough to where it wouldn't be called by the mainstream media so fast, but it's called by the mainstream media that fast. Sam Donovan says, "Is populism the way?" Obviously, I think so. I mean, I'm kind of run the American Populist Union, but I think a lot of people misunderstand what right-wing populism really means to us, right? And this is something we've articulated before. And this is something that Doyle articulated in his speech for us. It's like American populism, right-wing populism, is not so much the sense of that yes, populism by nature is sort of any movement that is kind of a people's movement essentially against the elites. But we're not populist in the sense that like we support democracy or power to the people or rule by the people, or whatever it is, right? Populism to us is just a means to an end because, as people who are conservative, and we brought this up earlier, like, we need to have our own elites. We need to have conservative elites. What we simply say is that the current elites who run this country are corrupt. They don't love the American people. They are crooked. And we know the story with our current elites, our current ruling class. Like, I don't think I have to reiterate it. So by then, populism exists and has to exist as a strategy to replace the current ruling class. Because it has to be replaced. Like, regardless, they have to be replaced. The question, of course, becomes what then? What my view is what should happen next is not that we become like an Athenian democracy or anything like that. Rather, it is that we have to replace those elites with new elites, and elites who care for the American people, and elites who, are emulate more like the founding fathers than, the current people who run this country. But at that point, I would say that I would no longer, like at the point where we have responsible elites who care for our country, which hypothetically, let's hope happens, I would no longer consider myself a populist, right? I would actually be by virtue against populism because I'd be against any movement that seeks to replace the elites. So understand that populism is the way, but populism is a means to an end, right? It is a means toward ultimately true conservatism and a truly conservative society, which is one that exists with hierarchy, with elites, right? We are not leftists. We are not liberals. We're not communists. We're not any of these things that suggest that humans do not exist within hierarchy and suggest the concept of equality, whatever it is, among people. That is just not true, right? It's not reality. We believe in hierarchy. We believe in elites. We believe establishments have to exist because we're realistic. We live in reality. We acknowledge that this is the way societies are structured. But any system whatever it's a democracy, republic, dictatorship, whatever, any system is simply a matter of who are the elites who are in control of that society, who are the elites that set the narratives and control the institutions. And we want that to be us, right? We want that to be people who support us or stand with us. That's what we mean by the fact that we are right-wing populist, American populist, not so much that we're pro-democracy or pro-rule by the people. We're fundamentally against that as conservatives. So paternalistic populism, I think that's actually a great term for it. That's a great term for it. Vince, tell me where to watch Doyle's speech. I'm feeling a little black-pilled right now. It's actually on my channel. You can find it on my channel. Do you support China limiting video games? I think, I'm kind of torn on this because at the same time, it's like the gamers are mostly on our side. So I don't know if I want to be mean to them. I feel like I want to be more mean to the people who are against us, and which, i.e., the porn stars, i.e., the e-girls, stuff like that. But with that being said, I will say that. Wait, where'd your comment go? Do you believe that it's your government's role to stop Western degeneracy? I do agree with that. I do think that, whether it comes to banning porn, or, obviously the American system works a lot differently. I don't think porn is free speech, by the way. I think that Supreme Court has clearly set into place that, obscenity is not protected by the First Amendment. But I think that obviously in the West, there are constraints on government that make it a little bit harder, but still, I think that there's definitely room to take a lot of action against Western social degeneracy. And these things have to be, at the very least, de-incentivized and at most made outright illegal. Now, we can break down on each thing to what extent that is. And like I said, you know what? I'm going to leave the gamers alone. Okay, we won't touch the game. Now, I will say that excessive video game usage, okay, and maybe this is where I dissent from a lot of other people in our circles. I mean, I have played video games sometimes. I literally did not. I left my Xbox at home, by the way. Okay, people always like, play Warzone, bro, and whatever it is. I left my Xbox at home specifically because I knew it was a useless, stupid waste of my time, and it gets addicting, like I know. So I actually left it at home, and then people are pissed at me for that. I'm like, bro, I'm trying to live a productive life here. So I will say, I'm not in favor of banning video games or anything like that, but I will say, a lot of you young men who are on our side and are based and who get it, but you kind of take pride in the fact that you're a gamer, sure, whatever, that's fine. But understand that it has a similar effect to what other things like porn or whatever else are doing. A lesser effect, not as severe an effect, but understand that this is something that still is kind of controlling your mind and controlling your time, and by the time you're spending on this is making you less productive and less effective as someone who could, kind of build for yourself. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I'm not anti-gamers, I'm not anti-video games, but understand that, these people who they think they're based, they take pride in the fact that they game for like 12 hours a day. No, you're not based. You are slightly better than the porn addict who does that all day because of the fact that, and I think gaming is inherently sinful and degenerate, whereas, watching porn clearly is. But still understand that what you are doing is actually not good. Okay, so keep that in mind about video games. Now, I won't take it. I won't touch video games because I understand. So it's in our side. It's in our culture. And yes. Am I taking sides? Am I being biased there? Am I literally giving favors to my political allies? Yes, literally yes. But I will say that a lot of you guys have to lay off the video games a little bit. I used to play them when I was in high school. I'm not being totally judgmental. I'm not saying I would never play a video game again, but playing for several hours a day, I'm sorry. You may think you're more based than the people who waste their lives doing other stuff hours of the day. And maybe to an extent, you're a little bit better than them in virtue, but still, it's having a very similar effect on you. And I think people need to realize that, And yeah, I know I'm fine with video games. There will be phases in my life where I'll kind of take a break and play video games, but I'm not a regular gamer. You know what I mean? And people give me shit for that. And people on like our circles give me shit for that. They're like, "Why aren't you a gamer?" It's like, I get it. It's a subculture. It's fun, whatever. It's kind of our way to release, but it is a vice in its own. You know what I mean? It's a vice in the same way that excessive drinking, excessive weed smoking, excessive porn addiction, right? Excessive video game addiction is a vice. And frankly, I think it's a vice that a lot of people that we know suffer from it, but just don't admit it, right? They kind of in denial that they do, but I don't know. Sadly, I have about 2,000 hours combined in all my Bethesda games. I will say, to have compassion and show that I am one of you to an extent. I'm not entirely like immune from this. I'm not like, again, I'm not trying to say this from a judgmental perspective. I'm trying to say this as like a loving friend who's telling you, just you got to kind of take this into account. I think I have about my Fallout 4 hours when I left high school. I left home rather. It was something like 17 days. How much is I think it was like 18 days of total game time. How many, let's say 18 times 24. Oh. Okay, never mind. I have way less hours than you. Okay, that was dumb math by me. That's 400 hours spent in Fallout 4. New Vegas too. I don't know, but okay. That's too much time, bro. I'm sorry. It's too much time. All right. It's even under 1,000, but still. Addiction is not liberty. This is true. But again, it's like, and I understand it. It's like, when it's the vice that you're addicted to, you're naturally going to be a little bit more in denial. Especially if it's something you kind of take pride in, which is like, we love being gamers. It's true. We are the forgotten gamers of America, but understand that some of these boomer takes about video games, this and that, it's not all entirely bad. Do I think video games make men violent? Like, no, I don't really agree with that. At least not to an extent, but like, is it true that video game addiction is bad and makes you useless? Yes, it is. And there's a reason why people who are chronically addicted to video games tend to grow neck beards. You guys live on energy drinks and chips all day. It's like, that's not a healthy life. It's not like a good way to be living. Deep down, that. But you kind of, because I don't know, some of our prominent figures are gamers, and it's kind of become this right-wing subculture that the dissident right were gamers. That's fine. Again, I'm not against that. In the same way, it's like, the sin is not drinking, the sin is like getting drunk, right? So I'm not against ever playing video games or gaming on a whatever basis, but like several hours a day, daily basis, yeah, that's not good. It's just not good. I understand we have to release sometimes. It's good to like, I'm not saying follow the news all day, but like video game addiction is a real thing. And it fries your mind in very similar ways and to a lesser extent, but similar ways, something like porn would as well. I know it's not as bad, it's better, but it still does it. And acknowledge that it still does it. That's what you have to take into account. It still happens. So, addiction is antithetical to liberty, low key, no, high key it is. St. Augustine actually, I believe it's St. Augustine actually writes a lot about this. It's true. My idea of like freedom and liberty, they come from, and obviously now I am a Christian, but even so much before then, but even more since then, really come from that more Christian understanding, right? And there's several Bible verses about this. There's one in Galatians that I really like. If I'm saying that correctly, I don't even know the Bible that well. I mean, I'm a new Christian, but it's like it goes. Christ has. I don't have it on top of my head, but basically what it says is that freedom is like, yeah, Christ has set us free, but also like true freedom is found in following Christ. Like that's where we get it from, and I believe it's St. Augustine wrote a lot about this too, about how true liberty is found from like living through discipline and living away from vice, right? And vice is something that ultimately tyrannizes you, and like freedom and liberty are found through discipline. That's my understanding of like what that when I say like I want to be free or whatever, like now, maybe when I was younger, yeah, it just meant I want to be free to do whatever the hell I want. Now it's more so that like I want to, number one, be free to follow this lifestyle, but also I want to find freedom in discipline, right? I want to find freedom in not just being free of government or whatever it is, but also freedom from vices and from addictions and things that, are meant to destroy us. So anti-Vince-Dao dissertation on the horizon. We hate to see it. Now John needs to make a dissertation on video game addiction. I don't think he'll ever do it. Like we said, we don't like to attack our own. A lot of the gamers are on our side, but it's like I feel we could be a lot more effective. I think as this side of our circle, if I think most of us are not porn addicts. Those of us who are trying to get over it, right? So like, okay, I think we've overcome that part. But video game addiction also, I think, is kind of numbing us in a way. It's kind of tyrannizing us in our own way. So, you know, Nathaniel Abbott has done a video game dissertation or screen points, which is related. Yeah, and social media addiction is a problem too. It's definitely something. I think I'm kind of stuck in this circle because I'm like, I'm an influencer. I have to be online for like an X amount of the day to kind of keep my brand going. I mean, that's something I would admit. I'm probably on the internet a little too much. I mean, sometimes I try to tune out from it, and that's part of now that I'm in college and I'm away from like the hell that was high school, and I'm in a college in Florida with like people, like I try to socialize a lot more than I did in high school, and I try to actually like go to things and go places and hang out with people, and like and literally when I'm doing I never touch my phone. Real human interaction, and I think that's part of why I'm more like as part of why I'm more white pilled now than I was back then, because I'm less of a doomer, because like I've been having a lot more human interaction away from the internet now that we're in college and we're chilling. But I think that's very important. Now, it's very hard to like step away from the internet, I think, when you're not like socializing in real life, because it's like if you're not socializing in real life, you're going to socialize over the internet. But that's an easy way to step away from the internet, But it's very hard to step away from the internet, I think, when you're by yourself. Even if you like go for a walk or a hike or a run or something, even then it's like, still sometimes want to look at your phone, right? But a good time with the boys, that's the way to go. That's the way to really kind of get away from the internet. And like that's I literally, when I'm doing something, like I don't even like think to check my phone, you know what I mean? And then when I'm not, it's like we're on your phone all the time, right? We're on Twitter the whole day, so it sucks. Message being, spend more time with the boys. Spend more time with the boys. Just join the stream. Is the election basically over? Yeah. Newsom is gonna stay, folks. Okay, let's be honest. Where'd you get the Manifest Destiny painting from? I got it on Amazon, which was cringe, but not really cringe, because it's one of those things through Amazon where it comes from like a private vendor, but they're just selling it through Amazon. Like it wasn't like a direct Amazon product that's like in their warehouse. But I did get it on Amazon. I'm sorry. I did get it on Amazon, okay? But it was from a private vendor on Amazon. Just look up Manifest Destiny. It's not a painting, by the way. It's just a poster. Look up Manifest Destiny painting, poster, whatever. I'm sure you can find plenty of them. California GOP and Republican Larry Elder have already conceded the race. A notable development, how much they did to sow distrust without evidence in the results before Election Day. Okay, well, then we're not even going to try to go down that route, which, I think it's very hard to do with this big of when you're losing this big, right? But still, a lot of Republicans said they would have done better without a polemicist like Larry Elder. Yeah, it's true to an extent. I think it was better for the recall ballot because it consolidated the Republican votes, but still it definitely helped Democratic turnout because it was like this pro-Trump boogeyman that finally got a lot of reluctant Democrats or stay-at-home Democrats to actually care about this election. So, Vince Dow coping. What am I even coping about? Flip phone acquisition incoming. I'm not against that. I'm not against that. Now, just keep a computer because you need to watch my videos and streams, but I'm not against that. California's not a lost cause. Time to move. Hey, come on down. Come on down, bro. Come on down. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome here. Can I tell you something that's very funny? I posted about this too, but this sign right here is actually made in China. This Made in America sign. Now, the reason I got it and the reason I thought it was fitting is because I thought it was actually a very good symbolism for where we are as a country, right? This sign says that it's made in America. If you can see in little, it says we are also the land of free. We are neither of those things, right? I think it's kind of the reality. It's a good representation of the reality of the modern dystopian state of America. The sign proclaims to be made in America. It is not made. It is a cool sign, don't get me wrong, but it is not made in America. It is made in China. And it also says that we are the land of the free, which is just not the case currently and not the case anymore, I would argue. So, but it's like an interesting like sort of parallel of like the dystopia of America of like what we tell ourselves we are. Meanwhile, this sign right here, the Florida sign, fittingly, I forget about this one, but this sign is actually is made in the USA, which is interesting, right? The Made in America sign is not made in the USA. The Florida sign is made in the USA. Interesting symbolism. What did Vince Dow mean by this? I don't know. Take that as you will, but it's not like I can leave California and I'm stuck here because I am broke. Okay, part of the reason you're broke is because you live in California where the rent and the mortgages are insane. So take that into account. I know moving costs money, but you might actually save money in the long term. Take that into account. Few will take this into account, but you should. But you should. Let's go, Florida boys. Let's go. If only we voted for Caitlyn Jenner. Lol, JK. Tommy, new tweet from Tommy Lahren. You're probably gonna see it. Guys, Vince isn't calling out leftist hypocrisy. He isn't even a good neocon. It's true. It's true. The leftist hypocrisy. All right. Anyways, guys, it is. You know what? I have to be up early tomorrow, but I don't care. Let's just keep going. I don't care. We're having fun. We're having fun with the boys. Are we not? Are we not? So let's go for about 10 more minutes. All right. Ask your best questions. Let's go. Let's do this. It'll probably go for more. I always say I'm going to go for 10 minutes and then I talk forever in response to questions and end up going longer than that. But official on Vince Dow time, we're going to go for another 10 minutes. The video maker says just came back since you said earlier you voted for Cali recall. I'm assuming you voted for Elder. I did vote for Elder. Yeah, Elder was not my favorite candidate. Actually, probably Kylie was my favorite candidate. But I just figured, like, if we do succeed in the yes vote, we just consolidate all the recall votes. Elder's good enough, so that's just what I voted for. It's kind of a practical vote. And it is California, so, assuming we were able to win, I wouldn't even be that idealistic about it. Actually, screw Florida, move to Chattahoma. No Democrats in sight. Oklahoma's all right. And actually, I like Oklahoma's gun laws are great. Not as good as Arizona, but pretty good. But, there is something to be said. You got to move to the swing states. Florida is becoming a red state, but it's not really solidly there yet. We need you. We need you to add to the numbers. Florida, Texas, Arizona, Georgia. I don't know about Georgia. Don't do Georgia. This is a lost cause anyway. Even somewhere like Tennessee, I think, is becoming. Tennessee is actually going to be one of those states in the next. I predicted like the next 2 decades. We're also going to be worried about because all the movement of like California industries to Nashville. That worries me. It might be a concern down the line. All right, thoughts on Jeep Gladiator. Let's take a look at a Jeep Gladiator. Let's see this car. Jeep Gladiator. I'm not anti-Jeep. I don't think a Jeep really fits my vibe. I don't think I would be a Jeep guy. If I were to drive like a car I want to drive. I mean, right now I have like a Hyundai. But if I were to drive a car I want to drive, it would be like a Mustang or a Challenger or something. But I'm not anti-Jeep Gladiator. I mean, it has an interesting thing going on. It's like a pickup truck and a Jeep at the same time. Arguably looks a little bit weird. Some would say. I think it looks pretty cool like that. Actually, I'm a fan of this car. I like this car. I actually think the sort of pickup truck Jeep mix looks cool, and I actually like it. And it's pretty practical too, because it's like you've got a pickup truck and you have like a four-seater car. It's not like a normal pickup truck where it's like hard as hell to get in the back, and there's visibility. You don't have to deal. I like it. I vibe with that. It's pretty cool. I'm a fan. I would have to say I'm a fan. Have you watched The Social Dilemma? I've not watched The Social Dilemma. If you don't, I recommend. All right, I'll go check it out. It looks good in red. Jeep Gladiator is fucking ugly, dude. First of all, watch the language. Don't fucking say it. I'm just kidding. But I disagree. I mean, I'm not an SUV guy. I'm not a big Jeep guy. But like, I don't mind it, and I actually think it looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. I think it looks pretty cool. Is that your car? I don't. It's not my car. The right-wing doomers on Twitter are now dooming about the. And we can't win again. you keep in mind that the election setup in every state's different. So, keep that in mind. And also keep in mind, I mean, I do think Newsom genuinely won. Like, I believe that. All things aside, it's California, dude. Like, I think, somewhere like Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, sure, it's in within reach. I said before this election, I didn't think California was going to be in reach. Now, with that being said, is election integrity important? Yeah. But does California need a more secure voting system and a more efficient voting system? Yeah. But, I don't think that we magically won that election. Let me, I actually don't think that, it's not because that's what I want. It's just realistically, dude, it's California. Remember that it is still California, so. What's your take on water filtration and the chemicals in our water? It is not a conspiracy theory with the frogs. It's actually been proven true. But overall, yeah, there's terrible chemicals in the water. What I will say is people who say that the tap water is the problem and say, "Oh, drink bottled water instead." It's like, what are you talking about? The FDA and the regime in power controls both. So that's to say, I don't know if there's really a way out of it unless you have your own well. Like the whole tap water, bottled water debate. It's like, do you really think like they're that different? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you buy a bottled water from a big corporation instead of tap water from the government. Like, it's kind of a cope, to be honest. It's like, you're probably getting the same crap, but that being said, yeah, there definitely are a lot of chemicals and everything, but I don't think the whole drink bottled water instead of tap water. No, I think you're basically screwed by both, and it's just a reality most of us have to live with, unfortunately, unless you have a well and you collect rainwater or something like that. But it's just like, I don't know. Maybe you can have a Brita. I don't know if that really. Again, I don't know if that actually filters what you want out either. So it's just like, it's I don't know. And California deserves it. It's true. Jim Eagle, what's your take on eugenics? I'm firmly anti-eugenics. I think it's godless. I think eugenics is basically the end result of like hardcore atheism, because when you start to say that reality is subjective, morality is subjective, there's basically no purpose to life. Life is just, neurons firing in space. There's no such thing as free will, this and that. In the end result, whether it's liberals with abortion, basically saying that people, babies with autism or Down syndrome should be aborted, or, it's like, the godless scientific racism, whatever it is. Wignats, right? I think in the grand scheme of things, a kind of belief in eugenics is just the end product of atheism, I think. Woodrow Wilson has entered chat. It's true. It's true. Abortion equals eugenics too. Oh, it's a form of eugenics. I don't even think it's eugenics too. It's a continuation of eugenics. It's not even the sequel. It just is eugenics, I would say. I'm also addicted to soda. That's bad, bro. That's bad. You gotta drink water, bro. You gotta drink water. But we have sympathy, man. I try not to shame people who are willing to admit and willing to say, like, I'm trying to change. Like, I would never shame you for that. I don't care if it's like crack cocaine. Like, I will not shame you for that. What I do hate are people who cope and are just like, don't even recognize that, like, they have a problem. Like, I genuinely, I get angry at those people. All right, I need to switch out my camera battery again. American Populist Crusade says, you want some new recommendations for books for a new Christian? Absolutely. Sparkling water greater than soda. I'm not a big sparkling water fan either. I have heard that there's less crap in it, so maybe, but I just don't like the taste of it. What do you think about collab with Z? I would absolutely collab with Z. I don't know about what, but we'd have to figure that out, but I would do that. Why would anyone trust our current regime with a eugenics program? Okay, number one, true, but also number two, I'm like against eugenics entirely. I'm not saying that to be optical or whatever. I'm genuinely against eugenics. I think it goes against God. Like it's I don't think there's much more that needs to be said about it, you know. Hold on. Gotta switch out the camera battery again. APU stickers would be nice. Soon. Sparkling water is decent. I only drink it at parties, though. What a Chad. Look at this Chad right here. He's like, I don't know what kind of parties you're going to. I don't know how old you are, so maybe it isn't. But like, if you're like my age, like sparkling water is like what people drink to get out of drinking like beer or alcohol, or whatever, at parties. Like if you're at a party of people my age. So if you're just like partying with like 13-year-olds, I mean, it's just like normal, but like, look at this Chad, like just the Sigma male that he is, getting out of drinking with everyone else by drinking sparkling water instead. It's kind of a Sigma move, to be honest. Thoughts on apple cider? I like, apple cider is only for special occasions, but I do like apple cider. It's pretty good. Vince, I tried to get our YAF chapter to host you speaking, Glow. I don't know how that panned out. I mean, I'll do it. Now, we'll see, like, I'm curious. I'm actually kind of curious if they'll say yes to that. You know, I won't cause any problems. Okay. But I'm very curious about that. I don't go to huge parties though. It's just like me and 20 friends I know. To be honest, I think that's that's my idea of a party anyway. Like, I don't know. I've genuinely never been to a party with like more than like 30 or so people there, I don't think. So like, I've never been to like those huge parties. I don't really desire to as well. Vince, please read my last comment. All right, I'll read your last comment. Hot take, I do support federalizing our elections. I just don't support the side proposing it at the moment. Before we do that, we have to take back the institutions, have election integrity, and swing in red areas. Hypothetically, yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of just what I'm kind of just neutral on that. Because I feel like that's just something like it obviously can be weaponized by both sides, and it's kind of just whatever to me. It's just kind of like, okay, whatever the system is, we just have to work with it. You know what I mean? I gave them yours, John and Nathaniel. Or do you go to Liberty? Just a curious question, because we've been trying to set up an event at Liberty. That would just be based. That'd be very epic. I have a lot of friends at Liberty. I mean, as you could probably imagine. Like literally, I want to do an event at Liberty. I was talking to a student there. She's trying to set it up. I don't know. It is a girl. I don't know how good a job she's gonna. I don't know if she's even gonna get it done. But sorry. Okay, we're cool with it. We're cool with her. Okay, I should stop being mean. But still, she's a girl. I don't know if she's gonna actually come through with it. But we're trying to get that set up. You don't go to Liberty, okay? Okay, I would suggest, if you can't get it through YAF, try Turning Point. I don't know. If you can't get through Turning Point, college Republicans should be the easiest. I mean, in my experience, it's been the easiest with them, because they're kind of just autonomous, right? So you don't have to deal with like HQs or central organizations saying no. He doesn't believe in small government. We can't have him to host, right? He believes in restricting legal immigration. We can't have him. You know what I mean? Some college Republicans are very autonomous, so it's easier. At the same time, they don't have a lot of funding, which some also consider. You basically have to fundraise grassroots, which also isn't that easy. So I don't know, but I thought YAF would be my best shot. I will try to see. Yeah, okay. I'll be honest with you, dude. YAF is probably your worst shot. But just ask everyone. See how, if you want me on your campus, just ask everyone. See how it goes. Pitch it. You cast as wide as possible. Pitch it to everyone possible. If YAF says yes, I'll be pleasantly surprised. So we have openly criticized YAF in the past, but I don't know. Just see what happens, right? Now, if it's fundraised by your local chapter and not HQ, then it's easier, right? I don't know. I don't think HQ would really be a fan of me, but if it's like if your local chapter just puts it together and doesn't ask for funds from HQ and just gets the funds on their own, then that should work. Yo, White Pill, we flipped Stanislaus County. All right, that's based. Like I said, it's going to be closer than like I said, it's going to be closer than what was I going to say than we saw in 2020. What are your thoughts on the New York Young Republican Club and how Gavin Wax is handling it? Love it. Love it. Gavin Wax is great. We love Gavin Wax. We love Gavin Wax. Gavin is a very good model on how to basically take power within politics, in like real circles in politics, and then use that power for effective ends. Like he's a really great example of it. I wouldn't even say he's an elite because I don't think he is, but it's kind of, the model of like how to be a responsible elite. We love Gavin. I'm not saying Gavin is an elite, by the way. He's not nearly at that level, but I think his blueprint for it is really good. We love to do a Republican Club. We might actually do a joint event between us, APU, and Republicans for National Renewal at some point. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I think especially with all the new stuff in New York, it might be relevant to put together a rally or something. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But that's definitely something I think would be fun to do at some point. I don't know. You're talking about the difference of CRs and CRs United, and I wasn't sure. So, I mean, I don't, I guess just ask everyone. The reason I say CRs is because with CRs, you don't have to deal with like the central organization trying to give you a hard time for it. That's why I say it. If you can just convince the students, the event happens. You don't have to convince like, regional directors and headquarters, and like, you don't have to do all of that. So, now Fresno flipped. Okay, based. At least we have that. At least we have these small moral victories. Brooklyn is rightful Republican land. True. All right, let's go back to the results real quick. I kind of want to see them. Now you guys have piqued my curiosity. The vote count's basically the same, but let's see. Yep, there we go. Fresno has flipped. It probably will flip in the end. Kern County, same margin. What the hell? I don't know what the hell is going on. Riverside still hasn't reported anything new. Riverside needs to flip. We need that. We can't be losing Riverside, folks. That's just not a good look. Fresno is such a shit city, though. I hate it. Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah, it is, but it's also not. It's just, it's just a mix. It's a mix. Fresno, it does suck as a city, but I think Fresno and Bakersfield have a lot of great people in them. So I don't know. It's okay. Video Maker says, is it possible for Gavin Wax to follow me on Twitter? You got to ask Gavin, bro. I don't know. I'm not. I don't have lobbying power over Gavin Wax. But maybe reply to a bunch of his tweets and maybe he'll follow you back. Let me see here. Let's see if we can get any other. Let's see, Riverside, San Bernardino. A lot of these, the vote counting is so slow in this damn state. A lot of these are still the same they were at the beginning of the night. 39. Like this is. It's been like this the whole night. I don't think we've gotten any updates. It's the polls closed like 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago, and we have no new updates. Imagine being this. Imagine the utter state of California elections, man. What's your take on the PPC? If I'm not mistaken, the PCP is like the populist right party in Canada. I don't know much about them. From what I've heard, I seem to like them. Bolsonaro. Hot take. I like Bolsonaro. Good leader for Brazil. All right, that's all I'll say. Good leader for Brazil. Would an exact replica copy of him work in America? But he's cool. Russia. I think Russia is a little bit overrated in some aspects, but I think that I will say that I think Putin gets a lot of things right that, the Western neoliberal globalists, that's part of why they hate him so much, right? In fact, I was considering we're going to make the members only videos. I know we keep delaying them. Okay. They're coming probably next week. Okay. I promise this week or next week. But I was considering making a members only video down the road about like why the the global liberal establishment hates Vladimir Putin so much. That's what I will say. Not as slow as Nevada's vote counting. No, it's actually slower. It's actually slower. I don't know if you know that. I live in Riverside, and I've heard talk about people. Well, okay? Riverside is a Republican area, man. Let me tell you that right now. I have been to Riverside many times. Like I said, that's where my grandparents used to live. So we love Riverside. I remember all the memories. That's my grandpa's the first person who took me shooting when I was like 15 years old. Shot his AR-15 for the first time. The memories. That's what in California we always have the memories, man. The memories of my childhood. The stories. Now we're getting all nostalgic on you. Vince, what is your favorite movie? I don't know if I have a favorite movie. Let me look through my movie list and tell you what's my favorite. I will tell you that Terminator 2 is probably one of my favorite movies. I don't know if it's my favorite movie, but when I can't think of something, that's just what I say. Let me think see if I can think of what my real favorite movie is. I'm not actually sure. I'll just say Terminator 2. I can't really think of something right now. California bias. I do have California bias. It's true. Yes, the shark. Okay, yeah, I know. Okay, you don't have to tell me. Yes, it did have this freaking stupid rifle grip thing on it. It's just stupid, but you still get part. You just get part of the experience. Okay. You don't have to rub it in. Okay, we left. Okay, let's be grateful we left. All right. Terminator 2 was pretty darn great. It's true. APU caucus is better than Freedom caucus. True. And the America First caucus is actually going to come back. I have confirmation of that. In 2022, after the election, they're going to basically make a new one. And by then, you'll have people like, Joe Kent, Anthony Sabatini, like people like that in office. So it's going to be pretty effective caucus, I think, overall in the long run. My concern, I just hope they don't make it too big, which will give platform to more of this like normie establishment Republicans who just kind of want to get it and kind of like MAGA Inc. That may be the downfall of the America First caucus. I would say actually it'd be great if you keep it small and like gatekeep it so that way its ideas are very influential. And then it's like, hey, you want to join the America First caucus? The thing that'll get you a bunch of money from the base and stuff. Yeah, you have to actually like get in line with us, right? And I feel like if it's smaller, it can be more ideologically and rhetorically effective because it will have a very clear, concise message. And it'll get attention anyway because it's like, oh, it's the hard right caucus, and it'll get attention regardless. So keep it small, keep it tight, keep it limited. Like its core should be like Gosar, Kent, Sabatini, right? That should be its core. Now you could add in people like Gates, Mo Brooks, Andy Biggs, Marjorie Taylor Greene, even like people like that. But I would say like just cut it off at that. Don't let your kind of like average run of the mill Republicans sort of just average Republicans into it. Do not do that. Keep it like that. And then that way in rhetoric it can be very like effective, right? Don't let the tent get too big because then it will cannibalize itself. Let's keep something like that. But that is happening, by the way. I have confirmation from that is going to be coming back. They shelved it, but I don't know. Like this was technically supposed to be like private information, but then R&R said this publicly on a podcast, so it's like I don't know. But I'm telling you, it is going to be coming back. Jim Banks, Jim Banks can be part of it too. I didn't name everyone. I'm just saying like people like that, right? People like that. AF moratorium, true. What do you think the final numbers will be? I don't know. I would say probably Newsom by like 15 to 20. Let me see. What are we at right now? I'd say like I'm gonna be a little bit bold and say it's probably like 15 to 20, maybe even 10. But I'll say about 15 to 20. That's probably the final numbers. Maybe it can't get to 10 though. I think. APC says, do you think racial identity caucuses like the Black Caucus violate the law? I don't really care about it, but like I think in theory, maybe. I mean, you could argue with the with the 64 Civil Rights Act. I don't know, maybe. But it's also, I feel like the Black Caucus is not like an official thing written into law, so maybe that's how they get around it, but I'm not even sure. Live title is misleading. Okay, dude. Okay, my face when someone comes in live in the chat and like we've been literally talking about results for like 2 hours now. The race is called, dude. It's basically, yeah, we're still counting votes. It's basically over. Okay. And I have the results up on the screen so you can tell that the race is basically over. Okay. Okay. We need your attitude. All right. Lindsey Graham is electing liberal judges. No one's talking about it. True. He is. Tucker did a great segment on that. We've talked about that a little bit before. Alex says, Vince, I wish I moved from LA County to Florida like you did, man. You got lucky. King, we stay winning. We stay winning. Trophies, nothing but trophies. But no, that's true. I feel bad for people who have to stay there, man. Literally, my college admissions came on the right year. It did because the choice kind of started to grow very obvious. I knew where things were headed, Dad. I knew. Hey Vince, have you seen Inglorious Bastards? I have not, but I know what you're talking about. I've not actually seen a lot of movies and shows and stuff. It's true. I'm moving out of California soon, going to Florida. Let's go. Let's go. Joining the gang, joining the club, bro. I will say, don't overlook states like Arizona and Texas and stuff like that. Like, we need people moving there too, or like Tennessee. But you're welcome here, man. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I love it. It's great here. It's true. Vince, you like classical music? I don't like I don't have anything against, by the way. I think people who like it are like Chads, but it's not really my thing. I don't like Mozart and Beethoven, stuff like that. At least not I don't like actually listen. Actually that's not true. I like it, but I don't listen to it. I do, however, listen to it's actually kind of, it's like contemporary, but it's like kind of like orchestra choir music that's like meant to represent time periods of history, like literally. Okay, I listen to Crusader hymns sometimes. I actually do. I listen to Crusader hymns. Sometimes I listen to like reimagined like Roman Empire style like choir music. So if that counts as classical music, then yeah. But like if you're thinking like Beethoven, Mozart, like I don't listen to that stuff. I'm not against that stuff. I just don't listen to it. I do listen to Crusader music sometimes. It's true. It's true. Not even a Catholic technically, but we love Crusader music. Red Eagle says Nevada, Arizona, etc. Yeah, I mean, let me say that, to be fair, Florida is not totally locked in. Like, we still need a little bit more to just push us there. But, overall, if you want to make the biggest impact on the electorate, yeah, do somewhere like Arizona. Vince, make a video on why people should consider Tennessee. No one is talking about the trends you mentioned about Tennessee. Yeah, I mean, I don't do a lot of electoral politics, but that might be a video. We're going to have some videos coming back very soon. I got to think of things to make videos about. I was thinking, maybe I'll make a video about the abortion. I feel like I have a take on the abortion thing that nobody really said in the fallout of it. So I might make that video still. I was going to make that. I tried to make that video and I don't know. I recorded it so many times and just wasn't happy with it, but maybe we'll try again. We'll see. I don't know. Also, oh yeah, underrated. Yeah, North Carolina. We need people in North Carolina. True. It's true. I don't know why a certain individual named David Carlson moved from North Carolina to Virginia. That was not the smartest thing. I don't know, man. I don't know why you did that, David. And then on top of that, I don't want to dox you too much. On top of that, if his idea is I'm going to go to DC, I'm going to influence the elites. Okay, I can respect that. DC is a swamp, it's a hive, but we do need our people kind of working within there. We need people who to get within the system and change the system. But He also moves to a place that's like not even that close to DC. Maybe it's cheaper, I know, but it's just like, really, really. I'm just messing. I'm just messing. We love David. Tennessee, it's true. Tennessee does need to just literally drive the liberals out. Like, do it before they even have any impact on the electorate. You know what I mean? What about New Hampshire? Can I, as a New Yorker, move there? I mean, if you want, I don't think New Hampshire is really a state that we should be like really prioritizing. There tends to be more of the pipeline that people move from New York to Florida, which again, you're welcome here, but whatever you want. My family's thinking about moving to Nevada. I mean, we like Nevada. Now, the heat, we don't like the heat, but Nevada's great. I like Nevada. Actually, it's probably hotter around Vegas than it is like Reno. I'm not sure actually. Rural Virginia is based. Rural Virginia is based, but it's just like, why would you move from North Carolina to Virginia? Like, people usually do the opposite, right? Thoughts on the Spanish Empire? So-so. I'd say so-so. Breaking. Fox calls Arizona for Gavin Newsom. True. Tennessee has no state income tax and low property tax. Better than Texas, in my opinion. Tennessee is an underrated state. I actually was thinking about moving to Tennessee, but we didn't get into the school I was applying to. Actually, it's probably a good thing. Okay, the school is Vanderbilt. That's probably a good thing. I did kind of want to live in Tennessee, though. And I was like, Nashville, yeah, it's like liberal, but at least it's like a city. We can have like college fun. But that didn't end up happening. It did not end up happening. So that plan fell through. So, but that was actually a plan for a little bit. Tennessee also has constitutional carry, unlike Florida. Yeah, it's true. Gun laws in Florida suck. I mean, they literally, for Republican standards, they suck, which is understandable to an extent because it's a new Republican state. I'm sure 20 years from now we'll probably eventually get it done by then, but it's not great. Gun ownership is not fun in Florida. It's better in California, but it's not like, it's not great. Tennessee is now neocon, that the Daily Wire is now based there. SMH. I would like, this isn't even to say that it's like, but I would say it's actually just sort of the opposite in the sense that you look at where the Daily Wire is and you look at where someone like Bill Lee is. Look at the Tennessee GOP. Compare that to like 70-80% of the Daily Wire. 70 to 80% of the Daily Wire is actually better than them. So something to keep in mind. I don't know if the Daily Wire really is the consequence of that. You also people like have like Michael Knowles and Matt Walsh who are like actually decent for the Overton window and actually contribute a lot to us on our side. Even if people have qualms with them, this and that. I personally think that overall, at the very least, look at the Overton window in Tennessee. Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily accurate. I don't know if that's entirely accurate. Tennessee has Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga. Great places to move. Yeah. Don't go to Memphis. I've not heard good things about Memphis. Memphis isn't Tennessee, right? I'm going to look really stupid if it's not in Tennessee. It's in Tennessee, I'm pretty sure. This stream is still going. Dang. Dude, we are epic like that. We go forever. It's true. It's true. It's a Wednesday morning now. It's not even a Tuesday night. It's a Wednesday morning, but we'll wrap it up soon. General thoughts on Ohio. Boring. Wouldn't live there. Electorate's pretty base. That's what I'll say. Because they're kind of like Ohio is sort of the birthplace of like really of like the modern MAGA, because that's kind of where it all started, was Trump like basically trying to win Ohio, right? That's kind of where that's not entirely accurate. Sorry, I'm tired. It's late, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, you know what I'm saying. What's wrong with Memphis? I don't know. I've never been to Memphis. I've never been to Tennessee at all. I've heard that Memphis is very ghetto. I don't know if that's accurate. I see Memphis football team on, Memphis Tigers. Is that what they are on ESPN sometimes, and Memphis looks like kind of like a fun city, but and I heard they have very good barbecue. I'm just told that Memphis sucks. Okay, that's all. I've just heard from other people that Memphis sucks. So, Vince, what conservative universities you recommend? I would. So the thing about colleges in Florida, not all of us are the most conservative, but when it comes to stuff like mask mandates, vax mandates, or the best here because the state health department is in control and DeSantis is adamant against it. So in most other states, even at more conservative schools, most of those schools you have mask mandates. We don't have mask mandates. It's great. It's fun. If you're looking for that, just pick a public school in Florida. Or I think the same applies to private schools, but do something like that. If you don't want to do that, if you want to actually look for politics, Liberty is usually seen as like the place to go. And I'm not against Liberty. Now, I will say Liberty, the kids at Liberty do sometimes have a tendency to be like uber neocons, and they're almost so sheltered in a sense. First of all, they're very heavily influenced by the conservative establishment, clearly, but also a lot of times it's kind of an innocence because these are kids usually. Now, I think the kids who come to Liberty from very liberal universities or liberal states, liberal areas, they get it. And it's like, if that's why you're going to Liberty based, a lot of them are like kids who've basically been sheltered their whole lives, not even in a bad way, I think in a good way, but kind of like sheltered in the sense that their parents have kept them away from all the nonsense, but in turn makes them into like these neocons because they don't really realize the gravity of this era, of this time and this situation. And as a result, it tends to be a little bit cringe. I don't know. That's part of why I want to give a speech at Liberty, because it's like, these are not liberal kids or anything. It's just kids who just haven't been exposed to the right ideas and exposed to like the reality of this scope, this time in our country. And you just give one speech to them. I feel like you can move a lot of them. But Liberty, okay, that's all to say that if you're looking for like a truly conservative university, like a conservative college life, Liberty, I don't even think you can have alcohol on campus. There's like a curfew, which is kind of cringe in my opinion. Like I don't even like, let's not even talk about doing degenerate things, but like staying out late is kind of, you sometimes you want to do it, right? But they have a curfew. It's like, it's like very conservative, very Christian school. So if that's what you're looking for, now if you're looking for somewhere with like a normal college life, but a more conservative population, probably somewhere like Auburn, University of Alabama, like a school like that, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a public school in a deep red state. If you're not looking for like super like austere, like conservative college experience, you look for like a more normal one, but you just want conservative politics and do something like that. There's always Hillsdale. I don't know much about Hillsdale. I don't know where it is on that stuff. Also Baylor is probably Baylor's very, very conservative, but it's also kind of like you don't have the whole like liberty thing going on there. If that's what you're looking for. I don't know what you're looking for. Okay. But I'm sure I have, look, what did I say? We have so many people at Liberty. Colton Musgrove from chat goes to Liberty. It's true. It's true. I swear. I think any conservative influencer of any type can walk onto Liberty campus and get recognized by someone within a few minutes. Like that's the reality of it. Like, imagine if your entire university was full of conservatives, basically. I mean, listen, if that's what you're looking for, you'll make a lot of friends at Liberty. You probably have a huge friend group, The Hillsdale online courses are actually really good. They are. I will say that. We need to bust up the universities like we do with unions and trusts. That's not going to do anything. They're so deeply liberal that you can break them up, whatever. It's not going to do anything. You literally just have to seize control of them. It's not even anything about, that stuff. Rep only reads super chats at this point. I should start doing that. I should start doing that to coerce you into sending me money. Kidding. We love the non. We love the other super chatters. I mean, we love the non-super chatters. Sorry. Someone on Ready Go stream super chatted VinceDao 2024, and Ready Go said first he needs to work on his upload schedule. My content is pretty consistent. Okay. To be fair, yes, we do stream more often than not. It's content still. Okay, sure. Uploading regular videos, I guess. Sometimes I just prefer to stream. Sometimes I just can't get it right with a regular video and prefer to just give the take live. Like, what are you talking about, Rep? Okay, what do you say? We have at least like 2 pieces of content a week, whether it's a stream or a video, whatever. Okay, usually it's 3. So I don't know what you're talking about, Rep. That's a bad take. It's a bad take. I'm not John. Okay, I'm not John. I have, sure, I don't upload regular videos, but I have a presence on my channel. I have content on my channel like at least 2 times a week, usually sometimes 3, sometimes 4. Okay, so I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about, man. And it's true. And it's true. I'm a college student. Unlike Rep, who does like part-time school online, I'm a full-time student who goes to a physical university. Okay, Rep. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that not because I don't. You're criticizing me. I don't appreciate that because it's literally not accurate. Okay, it's literally not accurate. But what should we expect from someone who doesn't deny 714? It's true. Are you talking about Liberty in Lynchburg, Virginia? Yes, I am. Okay, I got school tomorrow. I have class early tomorrow too, but we just don't care. We just don't freaking care. Rep. I can't believe it, Rep. The betrayal. First, you're on the wrong side of history on 7-11 and 7-10 and 7-9. You accuse me of many things, and then I just take the W, and then that night you're like, let's go, you did it. And I'm just like, bro, you didn't trust the plan. And then there's 7-14. And then there's 9-14. There's 9-14 today. So don't forget. You get cocky, and look what happens. We strike back. Okay, the side of righteousness strikes back on 9-14. It's true. It's true. We're kidding, of course. Is Rep stream still going? I think we're outpacing his stream. I'd assume his is over now. Rep tends to stream I tend to do much longer streams than like most rational people because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to finish a stream. I can just, once I start talking, I can't stop. Yeah, he's done streaming already. Oh, his stream only went for 1 hour 51 minutes. Okay, well, we are still going. All right. We'll end soon. One like a few minutes here, which is what I said about it half an hour ago, but still. Vince or anyone else, if the U.S. dissolved, where would you live? I'm not leaving. Okay. What does it mean if the U.S. dissolved? Like, if it would dissolve into something else, which admittedly I'd live in. Like, I really like, that's it. Honestly, for me, like, I feel like I don't think there's much else to run. Like, yeah, I technically wouldn't be welcome. I don't know if it wouldn't be welcome, but like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we could live in like Japan or South Korea or Poland or Hungary or something, but it's just like I don't think I would do that. We don't have we literally don't have a place to run. I don't want to run. Okay, we'll run within the United States, like we'll run from like California to Florida, but like beyond that, I think this is still our country. Like, I don't think I would run. Move to Mexico. It's true. I'd move to Mexico, be among my Hispanics, be declared king of the Hispanics. Like, we could do that. Japan won't take you. I don't know. You could just call we do a little bit of lying about our ancestry. It's true. Vince really been wearing a suit and tie. I don't have a tie. It's just a button-up shirt and a blazer. Oh, my mic is on low battery, so we're almost going to be done here. King of the Hispanics. I already am king of the Hispanics, but I'm really king of the Hispanic Americans, and I feel like if I moved to Mexico, if the U.S. collapsed, I could be king of all Hispanics. So Japan is still fairly liberal and degenerate, kind of. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. It's in many ways, yes. You look at kind of their parts of their culture, the atheism, the lack of family, but at least the thing is that in Japan, there's a lot of cohesion. There's a lot of unity, right? Which I think if you start with that, it's very easy to restore culture when you have cohesion and unity. Like, it just takes like a few right moves, right? Whereas if you're like in America with little cohesion, little unity, and much diversity, it's much harder to mend anything that's kind of wrong or not correct, right? But I picked those places because I'm Asian, okay, and so I'd fit in more with the population probably in terms of that stuff, okay? Like, ideally, if we're not taking, demographics into account, like, yeah, Poland or Hungary would probably be the move for me, okay, to be honest. The lack of family Damn you, ignorant. No, I'm not ignorant. There's a reason Japan has a collapsing birth rate. Like that's literally the reason why. Okay, it's because you have that way you have like same problem of Western feminism in a different form. That's what I'm referring to. What's your take on our ever increasing cashless society and QR codes found in more and more places? It's definitely convenient, but I think there's something to be said that the regime ultimately wants to have increasing control over your finances, and it's sort of all digital e-pay stuff. Like, yeah, it's convenient, we all use it, but keep in mind also that it is first of all, it's very convenient for a lot of these companies that run this stuff and the banks and all and whatnot. But also, I think it makes it a lot easier for the regime to seize your money and take control of your money and blacklist you from financial services if everything is digital like this. So, are you actually just Asian, or are you actually what do you mean? Asian inside? Oh, see, this is the joke because I'm actually African American. No, it's true. It's true. I am. I was memeing. It's true. I'm old school. I use cash 90% of the time. That's kind of based. I'll give you credit for that. You Filipino? I'm not Filipino. I am Vietnamese mixed with a little bit of Chinese in there, but basically just Vietnamese. And I am 25% Italian. Hence the hair. Hence the this, and hence the watch. You could argue the suit too. And I'm like 1% African. It's true. It's true. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. We'll take one more. We'll take one more and we'll wrap this up. Anyway, Christ is King. That's true. That's true. And what's the necklace of? It's a cross necklace. Will New York ever? No, I don't know if I want to take that as a last chat, but no, it will not turn red. It just won't. Unfortunately, sorry. Video Maker says, "Did you see my recent videos in my channel?" I did see them. Okay, that'll be the last comment. But guys, go check out Video Maker's channel. He has a lot of clips, mainly from like deleted live streams, right? So go check him out. He clips a lot of my live streams. We love Video Maker. And he has actually, I don't know what his new videos are, but he has some of the best clips from the vaccine mandate live stream that we had to take off YouTube, which is going to be probably put on Rumble tomorrow. I'll probably put it up like tomorrow or something, but it's going to be on Rumble, but it's not up right now. So go check out Video Maker's channel. Go subscribe to him. Friend of the channel. We love Video Maker. Also, if you're not a member, be sure to become a member. We have exclusive members only content coming soon. Okay, next week would have members only videos. Okay, there's gonna be some great videos. They're gonna be kind of just takes on some controversial topics, some topics that I feel like just too esoteric for the general audience. Become a member. A lot of great perks. Check it out. If you're on desktop, you can become a member by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. If you're on mobile, I have a link in my description to become a member as well. We love to see it. But anyways, guys, until next time, I'll see you guys soon, probably like today or tomorrow with some content. And, rip the recall. We knew what to expect. We knew what to expect by the beginning of the night. And I will see you guys later this week. Have a good night. God bless you all. And good night. I said that twice. See you guys.